From the new Darling Stadium in Hampton, Virginia, WHCS Channel 5 presents Peninsula District Football, the Phoebus Phantoms versus the Warwick Raiders. This game videotaped on the 26th of October, 1990. Good evening, everybody. I'm Tim Cole along with Bob Hintz. Welcome to chilly Darling Stadium for the game tonight between the undefeated first-place Phoebus Phantoms and the twice-defeated Warwick Raiders. And Bob, this one again should be a really good one.
Well, and it's really going to be a good one. I was talking to Bill Lyons earlier in the week, and this is really a must game for him. They can't lose 3 games and get to the playoffs. I don't believe they can. They may be able to. It's really going to be tough. They're going to go against a real tough Phoebus team. Phoebus has got the respect that you were talking about. People didn't have any respect for Phoebus, but Phoebus has got a defense last week that shut down a good Kickintan team. Held them to under 40 yards rushing. That's tough.
Well, here's the matchup. You've got a almost exclusive running team in the Phoebus Phantoms. You've got a Warwick team that likes to both run and pass. Now, the wind tonight is going to be a factor for the passing game.
Well, and it's also with the punting game. But in the passing game, what's going to affect you is the gusty wind. If it was a steady wind, then the quarterbacks could make an adjustment to it, whether they're throwing with the wind or into the wind, you can make an adjustment. But when it gusts, you can't do that. You just throw it up and hope that it doesn't blow hard when you've got the ball in the air.
The Warwick Raiders have the firepower. They have a very explosive offensive team. The Phoebus Phantoms have a great defensive team, and they're a good offensive team as well. You don't get to be 7-0 without having both components. Right now, we're going to go back in time. Bob had a chance to talk earlier with head coach Bill D of the Phoebus Phantoms.
Hi, Bob Hintz here with Coach Bill D of Phoebus. Coach, congratulations on a fine win last week.
Thank you, I appreciate it. The kids played a fine football game and beat a very good football team.
Well, I tell you, I thought the turning point was your defense. They just did an awesome job down there, 1st and goal on the 4-yard line.
Well, that's a big psychological lift. That was right before the half, and I also thought, the offense drove the ball out right from about the 1-inch line until the ended the half with us with the football. So the kids, they just buckled down and had it mentally when we really needed it.
Well, this weather tonight with the wind, do you think it's going to affect the passing game of Warwick a little bit?
I think, it might, but they're still going to try to throw the football, and, you still got to play good defense. And, I don't know. It's sometimes it's real bad. It's probably going to, it might affect it a little bit. Kicking game also,
Yeah. Well, you got a decent kicking game.
Yeah, unless you're kicking into the wind. So, but it seems to be more of a crosswind, and it seems to be shifting. So, but it'll affect both kicking games as far as that goes.
Now, you and I had talked a couple weeks ago about getting into the playoffs on Division 5. This is a must-win for Warwick.
No question. Their backs are to the wall. After they got beat by Bethel, Bethel did a great job against them last week, and with 2 losses, I would say that they're in a must-win situation. Our kids know that. And, of course, we look at every district win as a must-win. And it should be a real good football game.
Well, listen, I want to congratulate you. You did a fine job, and you made believers out of a lot of people.
Well, I appreciate it, Bob.
Good enough. We'll see you after the ball game.
Okay.
Good enough.
Of course, the very likable Bill D, his team undefeated. No one expect him to be at this level at this point.
Well, and this is what we talked about earlier. Bill D just does a fantastic job out. He's got some great assistants. He knows football. He gets it over to the kids. But I think the real thing that happened to Phoebus this year was the emergence of Kevin Beckner, quarterback. He solidified that team offensively. He does a great job on defense at the safety position, but offensively he doesn't put the ball on the ground, and that was one of the things that hurt him in the first part of the season.
Of course, with Phoebus, they run the ball 98%, maybe even 99% of the time. So on a game like this where you've got a gusty wind, they're not going to have that opportunity to throw the ball away. They've only thrown the ball once in the last 3 games total.
Yeah.
So they're not going to throw the ball tonight unless they absolutely have to. Right now, let's go back in time again as Bob had a chance to talk with Bill Lyons, the head coach of the Warwick Raiders.
Bob Hintz with Coach Bill Lyons of Warwick. Coach, this is definitely football weather tonight.
Yeah, it is. It's a little change from what we've been accustomed to.
Wow, we walked down and I can believe this wind with the gusting, that's got to affect not only the passing game, but your kicking game as well.
Definitely. Both teams are going to have to deal with that. More us with the passing game than them, but, both of us with the kicking game.
Coming in tonight, you're going against a team that's undefeated. Phoebus has played real good defense. What are you going to do to stretch their defense out a little bit tonight?
We think we're going to do the same things we've been doing, okay? We use a variety of formations. We try to throw the ball. We try to move people around and do that type of thing that helps us. yes, they are a good defensive unit, and we're going to have to be patient. We're going to have to protect the football, and our linemen are going to have to do a good job in giving the quarterback time, as well as opening up a crease, to give it back a chance to run.
Well, everybody I have talked to, all the coaches tell me you've got some of the best skill position players in the peninsula.
Well, we feel we do, and we've for whatever reason have not made some good decisions in a couple of ball games that has cost us. And hopefully tonight, we'll be able to make decisions that are good for our football team and can get the ball to the right people. But we feel like we have a number of kids who can do the job, but we've just got to be able to get them the ball.
Right. Now, you and I had talked earlier in the week that you said now this is a playoff for you because every game's a playoff now.
It's definitely a playoff. I think, if we're looking at our schedule and then we look at this game, if it were to be our third loss, I think it would be awfully difficult, to overcome that, to get in the playoffs. I don't think it'd be impossible, but I would rather control my own fate. And
right.
But we have a very stern challenge, and we're very aware of that. And it's an exciting ball game to be in.
Well, I tell you, it's good football weather, and welcome to Darling Stadium. Good luck to you tonight, Bill.
Thank you much.
Good to see you after the ball game.
Okay.
Good enough.
Well, we're getting down to crunch time, Bob. This is the time of the season when the teams who are in contention have to win the big games, and this is a big game for both of these teams.
And and you look at the last 3 games prior to this for Phoebus, they have been big games. They had to play Kickintan and Hampton and Bethel, and now they got Phoebus. I mean, they've got Warwick, but Warwick's got a good team. They are explosive. And if Bill D's defense does the job that they've been doing, and they keep Warwick away from getting the big play, I think it's going to be a Phoebus game win tonight.
All right, it's going to be a good one. We hope you'll stay tuned for the start of tonight's game. We'll be right back with the starting lineups for tonight's game between Phoebus and Warwick. Bob Hitz back at Darling Stadium, as you have just heard the Phoebus High School Marching Band and their rendition of the national anthem. We are about set to get the game underway momentarily. Neither team has made it onto the field as of this moment. Are you picking up a real lot of noise, Bob? I'm sorry, I can't hear.
There's a lot of breakup in the audio, but I tell you, Tim, the wind is really gusting out there, and it's really going.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to tonight's contest between the Raiders from Warwick High School in Newport News and the Phantoms from Phoebus High School here in Hampton. The Raiders come in with a 5-2 record on the season, while the Phantoms are 7-0.
We might remind the fans, of course, that the Phoebus Phantoms are ranked number 6 in the state coming into this game. They had been tied for 7th, and on the strength of their victory over a very good Kickintan team last week, they moved up in the rankings to 6th.
Well, there's a lot of people, Tim, that feels like they ought to be ranked a lot higher than 6th. They played in scrimmage this Wilson team and beat the Wilson team on a scrimmage, and yet Wilson is ranked number 1 in the team. But it's going to be a great game because this Phoebus has just got such a well-balanced offense and defense. He's got a lot of kids that play both ways. Kevin Giles and Beckner and Bon Temps and Turner, just, you know, a lot of them that play both ways, and they have a lot of pride in both their offense and their defense.
You know, I see making his way up here to his seat is Dr. Don Musselman, the superintendent of the Hampton City School System. We wanted, you know, you and I were talking about this before we came on the air. We wanted to make the fans aware of the fact that Dr. Don, wind, rain, snow, shine, whatever, he comes out to these ball games, but to show his impartiality is he always sits on the home side, even if our two Hampton City schools playing, which of course tonight we're not.
Well, and you know, him and I had talked about that, and we just didn't want anybody to feel like he was trying to show any favoritism. And I told him, I said, well, Dr. Don, I said, the only reason you're on the home side is because we get the camera on you. He said, yeah, I got to be careful of what I do.
And back there he is, right there to the right of your screen.
And he's got some hot coffee.
Boy, he needs something on this.
Well, he's got his back up against the booth so that he can block some of the wind coming out tonight.
While we have a moment, maybe we can. I can't hear on the return on I'm not sure our director has our mics open or not, Bob. I can't hear a thing. But anyway, if we can, maybe we can run down the officials for tonight's game. As the chilly crowd, there we see the referee will be Dave Riesbeck. Chris Owens is the umpire. Tom Moore is the linesman. Chuck Boney, with the great legs, will be the line judge.
And that's an inside joke, right?
Jim Collier is the back judge, and Tom Cassee will be the timekeeper. There you see some of the zebras, and they're not wearing shorts tonight as they were early in the season. Last time we saw the Riesbeck group here, Dave Riesbeck pulled up lame and couldn't do the second half of the game, so we're glad to see him back in fighting form.
Well, what was it that you said something with you don't get to go to Lake Gaston
That's
anymore?
Right. I made a comment about Chuck Boney's legs. My lifetime pass to Lake Gaston was rescinded.
A lifetime, huh?
At any rate, this game, in the past, this series has been won by the Warwick Raiders. In the 13-year history of the competition between these two teams, the Raiders hold an 8-5 edge, and Warwick last year won this game 37-7. Now, Phoebus is kind of avenging a few tough defeats last year. They beat Hampton, avenging a defeat. They beat Kecoughtan, avenging a defeat at the hands of the Warriors. And of course, they'll be looking to extend that streak against the Warwick Raiders this evening.
Well, just to add a little footnote to that, there's a couple of coaches on the Raiders staff that made some comments during a football clinic up at UVA that they really put the big hurt on Phoebus last year, and they're going to do it again this year. And as that young man was making that comment, in walked Bill D. And Bill D doesn't forget. So
well, you can
there's
bank
some
on
incentive.
You can bank on the fact that he didn't let his team forget it either. As you see the cheerleaders from Phoebus High School there with their banner, and the Phoebus Phantoms about to make their way on the field for tonight's game. They are, of course, 7-0 overall, 6-0 in the district, and this is as lofty a level as the Phoebus Phantoms have ever attained. And of course, they are looking for an ultimate meeting with perhaps Woodrow Wilson High School or others like them.
It could be Woodrow Wilson, could be Great Bridge, it could be Norcom. There's those three are the top teams over there, and that's why two of them are undefeated, and Wilson has one loss in a game that Sparrow did not start for them, who was their everything quarterback and being recruited very, very highly all over, and leaning towards Virginia, I hope. I'd like to see him go up for Virginia, but anyway, they being the Phoebus team, and there you see
there's Mr. Boney right there. You saw him in the middle of your screen. And you may have heard someone a moment ago using a word that is going to be a part of this game tonight. That is chill factor. Because the winds, of course, this game recorded on the 26th of October. You may recall, if you think back to that day, that was the day after the great storm that came to the nor'easter that came through here, and we are still feeling the very strong effects of that wind. And we mentioned in our pregame show, as we see the Phoebus Phantoms coming on the field, that the wind will be very much a factor tonight. The wind is gusting anywhere from 25 to 40 and sometimes 50 miles an hour. So, and again, your point was very well taken, that if a wind is constant, a quarterback can adjust for that. When a wind is gusting like this, it's very difficult to adjust to it because you just don't know when it's going to gust.
And I'm looking at the flags at the far end of the stadium, and they're kind of coming on an angle, so the wind is not going straight north and south. It's coming on an angle across the field, and it is really going to affect it. You can look for whoever wins the toss will probably elect to defer to the second half, or even to receive, even to kick off, so they can have the wind to the back, pin the other team back close to their end zone, and hopefully get a turnover or stop them, make them punt into the wind, and end up with good field position. So that's going to be one of the strategies that we'll look for early on.
Talking of turnovers, the Phoebus Phantoms have a -2 situation with their turnovers. They've committed 13, while their opponents have committed 15 turnovers. On the other side, the Raiders have committed 6 fewer turnovers than their opponents. And of course, the ability to capitalize on these turnovers will be very instrumental in the outcome of the ballgame. As we see or actually you may not see it this moment, but our tri-captains, there we go, are making their way across the field for the Phantoms. They are number 1 is Chad Hopkins, 22 is Maurice Turner, and 33 is Kevin Giles. Joining them at the center of the field for Warwick is Marlon Hooker, number 1, and Melvin Haskett, number 2. And let's listen in now on Dave Riesbeck.
We already did this before the game. We know the result. We're going to do this for the fans, right? We flip the coin. Blue one that's lost elected to receive, right? Is that correct? White elected to defend that goal and kick this way. Is that correct? I agree with that. Okay, white puts you back to the goal, puts you back to the goal.
Well, that shows you a little confidence on the part of the Phoebus Phantoms. They're going to take the ball, and even though they won the toss, rather than elect to kick off.
So we have had the toss of the coin, and the Phantoms have won. They will be moving from our right to our left. And of course, they are the home team for this particular event. There are 4 12-minute quarters in high school football. And there are some other changes in the rules as we go along. We will make you aware of those differences, as we have been made aware of them by some of our fans, and we appreciate the words that we get from the fans. If you have some comments about our coverage and you'd like to direct them to Channel 5, if you'll send a postcard in, of course, we will put your name in the hat for the drawing on the stadium seat, which will be awarding the last game of the season that we'll be doing here on Channel 5. We'll also be picking a player of the game for the Hampton City School involved in this endeavor, even though we do welcome those of you in Newport News on Channel 36, as this game will be seen in Newport News as well as Hampton. And again, we are happy to know that. We appreciate the fact that we've had some nice comments from the folks in Newport News, and we're very happy to be bringing these games to you.
Yeah, it makes us real happy that we can bring some of these high school contests, because a lot of people don't get a chance to get out and get to see them. And we, again, encourage you to come out and see them live. It's great to watch us, but there's nothing like being here at the game.
A very chilly evening. I would say temperature at game time is probably in the low 50s, maybe even lower, but again, the wind makes it feel much colder.
Yeah, the wind factor, it's got to be in the low 40s.
All right, Kevin Perry has the ball teed up for the Raiders, and back deep, standing at his 5-yard line, is Thomas Bailey. And this game is underway. This is a low kick. It's going to be fielded at the 20-yard line. And Maurice Turner, the young man who got the kickoff, is taken down immediately at the 27-yard line.
Well, that was Maurice on the carry. That's not bad field position. And there you see the Phoebus offense. At center is Selby. The guards are Jamison, and that's Stephon Jamison. And Little, the tackles are Howard and Shields. Tight end is Bontemps. The split end is Barrett. The quarterback is Beckner. The halfbacks are Turner and Giles, and the fullback is Chris Moore.
And we'll give you the defense for the Raiders when we get the opportunity during this play. 27-yard line is where the Phantoms start. Beckner, straight handoff on the first play. This goes to Chris Moore, and he crosses the 30 to about the 31-yard line.
Well, he was met right as he got the ball, and there you can see the defense.
All right, for the Raiders on defense, Lyons and Accurso will be the tackles. The ends, Davis and Barnes. The linebackers are Alston and Taylor. The corners will be Talley and Haskett. That's Melvin Haskett. And the halfbacks will be Banks and Yarborough. The safety is Watson. I said Melvin Haskett, I'm assuming, because it could be Mario Haskett, his brother. So I'm going to have to double check that, to be honest
It's not
with
the quarterback.
I believe it is Melvin Haskett. Okay, 2nd down and about 7. This is Maurice Turner, and Turner is out close to the 35-yard line. We're going to bring up a 3rd down for the Phoebus Phantoms. Turner, the leading rusher in the district, averaging a little more than 84 yards per game. And of course, the Phantoms are almost exclusively a running team. They've only completed 9 passes in 7 games.
And, well, they're not going to put the ball in the air. When you are very successful in moving the ball on the ground, why put it in the air? The former coach Woody Hayes at Ohio State said 3 things happening, 2 of them are bad when you pass.
3rd down, the option play. Beckner pitches to Turner, and he's able to get the 1st down out at the 42-yard line.
Well, I can see right now what the Raiders are doing. They are getting the pitch man they're going to make and hopefully put pressure on Beckner to make him pitch the ball sooner than he wanted to, and he's been hit about every time he's had the ball, as we can watch on the replay. And Turner's coming off holding his arm or his hand. I'm not sure what happened, but he's coming off to the side. Maybe we can find out what happened. I hope it's nothing serious, but
I hope not. If he is lost, that'll be a serious blow to the Phantoms, as he is really a superb ball carrier. He has gotten more than 100 yards in the last 3 ball games. 1st down for the Phantoms at the 42-yard line. Beckner right side handoff to Kevin Giles. Giles gains yardage for the Phantoms out to the 44-yard line, a pickup of about 2. And we see Turner on the sidelines, or at least I do. We don't have him in our picture.
He's sitting on the bench, and he looked like he was holding his arm or his hand. I'm not sure what happened.
There you saw the replay. You saw Kevin Giles, who has done a fine job this season as well for the Phantoms, averaging 5.5 yards per carry. 2nd down and 8. Beckner has it on the keeper, and he will be taken down. Good defensive effort, as coming over to make the stop for the Warwick Raiders was number 44. That's Antonio Banks.
Well, and number 2 for the Raiders, Melvin Haskett, tackled the pitchman.
As you really need to do that. So they did a good job that time of defending the play.
Well, I see Turner's going back in. Watch this play. Watch the pitchman gets hit at the same time. Somebody's missed an assignment that time. 3rd and 7. This is unusual for the Phantoms. They've not been in this situation often.
Ball at their 45-yard line, just underway from Darling Stadium. Beckner, an extra effort. What a great job on the part of the defender on that play. That was Tyrone Davis, number 80, who came in and just clogged that play up perfectly. So one of the few times you'll see the Phoebus Phantoms not gain yardage on a running attack.
Well, they lost 3, they lost 6 on that play.
It's 4th down and 13 for the Phantoms. Back deep will be Kevin Beckner. Quarterback is also the punter, and he's a good one. He gets a poor kick away, however. It may have been partially blocked, and it's fallen upon at the 37-yard line, where the Raiders will have good field position, and uncharacteristically a poor kick for Kevin Beckner. He averages better than 35 yards a kick.
Well, he is kicking into the wind, and he probably tried a little harder than he normally does, and just didn't hit that ball right at all. And of course, one of the things when you're kicking the ball, Tim, is the drop of the ball is very important, and with the wind gusting like that, that could have been a factor.
Opening handoff is a 11-yard gain for Melvin Haskett. Melvin Haskett carried for a big gainer on the first offensive play for the Raiders. 7:37 remaining here in the first quarter. And we'll get a chance to watch this one again as the Raiders control the line of scrimmage.
Well, watch the hole. That was a tremendous hole there for that Haskett to get through. That is the brother of the quarterback.
A 1st down for the Raiders. Mario Haskett is the quarterback. We'll give you the offensive and defensive lineups here in just a moment. Ball carrier this time. The ball carrier was Jermaine. That's Tremaine Jernigan.
Watch this on the replay. It's a misdirection. They pulled the offside guard, number 53, and Phoebus did a good job of plugging up the hole.
Ball in Phoebus territory. Second down after the 3-yard gain. Haskett on the option, pitches back. And driven out of bounds was Tremaine Jernigan, and he'll be close to a first down.
The offense that the Raiders run is very similar to what Kickintan runs. They run a sprint option and the veer option, so we'll see both teams running the option. And you can see here, this is a good job of the quarterback pitching the ball, and he got a good block right there from number 7 to spring him around the corner.
And as I mentioned, when time allows, we will give you the offensive and defensive lineups for these two teams. 41-yard line, a first down for the Raiders. Haskett gives to Melvin, his brother, and he is stopped dead in his tracks at the line of scrimmage.
Good job. Was that number 58 for the...
58 was Stefan Jamerson.
And we apologize for calling him Stephen. He goes by Stefan, and there's the Raiders offense. We got a Curso at center. The guards are Lyons and Lane. The tackles are Pruitt and Jones. The tight end is Davis. Split end is Hooker, quarterback. One of the Haskett brothers. The other Haskett brother is a halfback. Jernigan is one of the other halfbacks. Flankers, Rogers.
Mario is the quarterback. Melvin is the running back.
I couldn't remember which was which.
This is Mario, and he throws in the fight. He's got a man open. He's got the ball at the 25-yard line and finally dragged down close to the 5-yard line.
What a nice pass. Chad Hopkins fell down, but I don't believe he would have. He was in the right position anyway, and there you see the defensive team for the Phantoms.
The nose guard is Howard. The tackles are Bontemps and Jamerson, Henderson and Turner are the ends. The linebackers are Barrett and Giles. Bailey and Barrett are the corners. The safety is Hopkins, and the free safety is Beckner. But that pass completion from Haskins to Haskins has given a first and goal to the Raiders. Ball is at about the 8-yard line. Mario Haskins flipping. Jernigan going for the corner. Did he get in? No, they say he went out of bounds 1 foot shy of the goal line. I have to correct myself. It's not Haskins, it's Haskett. And I apologize for that, but we'll get it straight here. And Jernigan does a fine job of racing to the corner. He's not a little guy. Jernigan is 5'6", 160, but that's got to be wrong because he looks like he goes in at a good 180, 185. Here you see the flip to Jernigan. Got a lead blocker in Haskett out there. And finally just barely forced out of bounds at the corner.
Very close to being a touchdown.
Yes, sure was. A timeout has been called by the Phoebus Phantoms. And that comes with 5:56 remaining in the first quarter. A scoreless first quarter between the number 6 team in the state, the Phoebus Phantoms, and previously ranked Warwick Raiders. They have gotten points in the standings before they lost that game a couple of weeks ago. And then, of course, last week, as we see the replay on that last play, the flip to Jernigan. Raiders very much in the thick of things. As we mentioned, though, this game is a real big game for both of these teams. He just barely got to the corner, and he almost got it across. But
the football looked like it broke the plane of the goal line before he went down. But, of course, we can see that on replay, and that the officials got to have excellent angle to catch that.
Well, I think they had a better angle than we did, to be honest with you, and I think they probably made the right call. Haskett, keep on the quarterback keeper, and as of yet, no signal from the officials. And now we see a signal, and that is the second down. So apparently the Phoebus
third down,
and the Phoebus line has kept them out, and I believe we have an injured player on the field as well. Here's your replay. There you saw Haskett on the quarterback keeper, and of course that we saw last week when the Phantoms were playing Kickintan, they were able to keep the Warriors out of the end zone with a first and goal at the 4 and never did allow them in the end zone. So a Raider is down on the field, and he will be attended to, stopping the clock with 5:37 remaining.
Looks like 69, Tim, is who it is.
Well, if in fact that's Aaron Accurso, a two-way player for the Raiders, and his loss would be a severe one.
Well, that was such a that was such a big pileup that there were people falling on people, and he may have got his knee trapped.
While we have this opportunity, Bob, maybe you'd like to mention about the Player of the Game award that
I
we'll be
sure
giving
will.
to the Hampton Player of the Game.
Well, we're going to give them a plaque that'll have their name on, and that is donated to us by DC Engraving, and it is a sample of metal photo. DC Engraving is located at York Village Shopping Center on Route 17 in Grafton, and Dave Bookwalter does a great job. You need to see him. We also give a shirt that'll have our school logo and Player of the Game or Player of the Week on it, and this is donated by Turner's Hardware and Sports Place. They have 3 locations, one in Willow Oak Shopping Center, another one is located at Denby Hardware and Sporting Goods located in Denby Square, and the newer store is a sports place located at the shops of Hampton, the shops at Hampton Harbor next to Hampton University.
You were just looking, by the way, at the coaches up here in the press box. The first photo you saw was that of the Phoebus coaches, and then the second, of course, was of the Raider coaches. Of course, the coaches up in the press box do spotting, and they a lot of times will be relaying information down to the sidelines that they can pick up. That
they have 2 headsets, Tim. You're right. I hope he looks like he's walking pretty good off the field, so maybe it's just a strain. He being a Curso, number 69, who was a tackle and a 2-way performer, plays center, and he is very important at that center position. You hate to bring in a new center.
There's no question about it. His loss, at least even on a temporary basis, could be very much an important factor in this drive. It is 3rd down and goal. The ball just a foot short of the goal line. And again, Haskett jumps up, and this time he is in. So Haskett, Mario Haskett, scores the first touchdown of the ball game.
Well, if that time he went up and over rather than trying to go through.
5:23 remaining in the first quarter. And the Raiders took the ball and drove the length of the field very impressively against this Phoebus Phantom team.
Well, if you remember what I was saying at the first of the game, one of the things that Bill D is aware of that he hopes that he would stop would be the big play. And, of course, the big play came in that big pass play of the Raiders.
Kevin Barry's kick is good. And we have just watched the Raiders in 8 plays go 63 yards. They consumed 2 minutes and 32 seconds. And the Phantoms are going to have their hands full, as we expected they would.
We sure are. And this, again, is the score. And you can see that the Haskett just goes right up over the top and gets into the end zone. You want to tell about who given us our statistics tonight?
No, I'm not going to tell them.
You're not going to tell them. We got a young lady helping him. Give her a play.
Yes. Gary Moore from Computerland, along with Janice Bolden, are providing us with our statistics tonight, and we certainly do appreciate their assistance. You are probably able to hear the coaches for the Phantoms as they are trying to incite the Phantoms to play a little better on defense. And right now, of course, the Phantoms will have a chance on offense. The kick will be coming to Thomas Bailey, and he'll field it, struggling momentarily at the 18-yard line. Wants to try and get outside. Bailey with good speed cannot do so, however.
And there's a flag.
Penalty flags are down. So there is a flag down, and of course that would be generally in the area where you might see a clip or an illegal block, but we'll wait and see. Dave Reesbeck will tell us momentarily. There you see the officials discussing the situation to make sure they've got all of their ducks in a row. It is a clip, and it is against the Phantoms.
Well, that's going to negate a decent field position. They are at the 32, and that'll take them back to about the 16.
We get a chance to watch it again. Maybe we can pick up the penalty when it occurred. It will be to the top of your screen. Now, we're not going to see it from that angle, at least, because it occurred away from this play. At any rate, it is, in fact, a 15-yard penalty. Listen in to Dave Riesbeck. I think Dave may have turned his mic on when it meant, in fact, he meant to turn it off. So, but at any rate, you saw the indication quite clearly. So the Raiders, rather the Phantoms, will start from their 16-yard line. And a heavy hit on Kevin Giles as the Warwick Raider defense.
That's number 42.
David Taylor.
Woo, what a hit. Nobody touched him. He came in from a tight end, a defensive end position. No, take that back, a linebacker position. Shot a gap, came right in there, and Chris Moore got the ball and got met at the line of scrimmage. No gain.
Second down and 10. Beckner on the keeper. Gain of a couple of yards, maybe 3 on the play for Beckner. Well, actually, going to give him closer to 4. So it'll be 3rd down and 6 for the Phantoms.
Well, I was watching the tail end of that play, and Maurice Turner was the pitch man, and he was being driven clear back to the goal line. The defender for the Raiders was not even going to let him even think about getting the football.
You saw that on your replay as he actually was pushed out of your picture. 3rd down and about 6. Beckner on the keeper. He's got the first down and then some. A foot race. And Beckner is caught at about the 33-yard line, 34-yard line. No flags down.
Well, now we got a flag in the middle of the field.
A late flag.
2 flags.
Well, they only need 1. You don't get twice the penalties. There's going to be a dead ball foul, a personal foul against the Raiders. So they'll tack this one on.
And that's a big one because that's taking in half the distance because, no, I'm sorry, that'll be a 15-yarder because it's outside the 30.
So Beckner carried the ball on the keeper all the way down to the Warwick 34. And then words or at least something was exchanged back at midfield. And the penalty will go against the Raiders. Listen in to Dave Riesbeck.
Run for Kevin Beckner.
Well, again, unfortunately, we are having some problems with his microphone. But that was the call. It was a personal foul.
And we now have a timeout by the Raiders.
That'll be their first timeout of the first half. 3:52 remaining in the first quarter. The Raiders lead 7-0. They took the opening drive and went the length of the field. Here's the replay now. You'll get a chance to see Beckner. He's got Turner trailing, and once he gets past the secondary here.
But right here he has 2 people that could hit him, and he just runs right through number 71 and 44. And 24 is the young man who finally catches up with him, and that's William Yarborough, and he's the one that saved the touchdown. Nice tackle.
Yeah, it was a good effort by Yarborough to catch up with the speedy Beckner and prevent the touchdown. But the Phantoms, nonetheless, will have a first down at the 19-yard line. Each team has expended 1 timeout here in the first quarter. Phantoms trailing 7-0. Beckner pitches to Turner. Maurice Turner, nice cutback. He gets all the way down to the 10-yard line. So
that was
9-yard pickup.
Tim, that was a tremendous cutback because that field is a little bit soft, and he planted that outside foot and cut back and made a couple people miss.
That, of course, goes back to the old adage that if you know where you're going, you have the advantage because those big linemen, of course,
watch the replay on this. This is just a quick pitch. He cuts inside his blocker there and just made a cut and made one man completely miss him. What a nice run by Maurice Turner.
Gain of 9 on the play, 2nd and 1. And this is Turner again. He appears to be short of the first down. And a late flag comes down after the play. So a penalty flag thrown by the referee, and it appered to occur after the play. Personal foul against the Phantoms, so that's one of those things you can't do.
Oh, Bill D, I know that hurts you. You're in great field position. You got a second and almost a first down, and now you're going to have, that's a dead ball foul, so it's going to go back 15, so you're going to have 3rd and 15. What a big call.
Well, there you saw it. And the down does count. That's the big part here. Let's see if we can see what happens as it occurs right in this general area. There you saw it. It looks like somebody pushed someone down. You saw right there, I didn't pick up the number, and I certainly don't want to necessarily identify the young man, but it looked like he just kind of pushed the Warwick Raider down to the ground after the play, and that apparently was what the penalty was on. There you see a incomplete pass, one of those few times that the Phantoms passed the ball, and it was almost picked off.
Well, the Raiders were not fooled at all. They had 2 defenders around Turner, who was the intended pass receiver. 2 defenders, and they had him sandwiched. That would have had to be a perfect pass, and this is going to make a long field goal. If you're going to attempt a field goal, this will be about from the 32, which would make it a 42-yarder.
It'll be a 42-yard attempt.
That pass was almost picked off by Antonio Banks again, who has done a good job for the Raiders so far. Now the Phantoms are going to take another timeout. This will be their second timeout with 2:47 remaining here in the first quarter. So Bill D's team having some difficulty sustaining the drive, and they have thought about going for the field goal. Now they've called timeout, and I'm not sure they're in fact even going to go for the field goal. Bill D, as you see him there in his gold jacket, will go out to the huddle and discuss the play with his team. We do remind you that on our schedule here on Channel 5, we will have 2 more games before the postseason play begins for any of the Hampton City schools that do continue on. Next Friday night, we'll be back here at Darling Stadium when we'll have the Kickintan Warriors and the Warwick Raiders. They will be here, and then our final regular season game will hit the Hampton Crabbers against the Bethel Bruins, and that'll be coming up 2 weeks from tonight. We've got a couple of real good ball games remaining here in the regular season. We've had some good football.
Sure have, and Bill has decided against the field goal and is going for it on 4th down.
Beckner will again drop back to pass, has time, throws in the end zone, in a crowd. It was not really even close. Maurice Turner had no fewer than 3 defenders around him.
Surrounded by about 4 defenders.
So,
Incomplete.
and a good sportsmanship gesture displayed between Turner and the defender on the play, and Anthony Watson.
Leading the Phantoms by a score of 7-6.
So the Raider defense does the job, and they'll give the ball to the offense at the 26-yard line.
And what a big penalty that 15-yard unsportsmanlike call was, because they had a 3rd and less than a yard for a first down.
Mario Haskett throws. The pass is completed, fumbled, and then picked up, but he stepped out of bounds. It will be a completed pass.
Well, I think that was a lateral, because if it wasn't a lateral, it would have been an incompleted pass.
Second down 7. Pass completed to number 1.
It was, in fact, a completed pass,
Marlon Hooker.
and Marlon Hooker was on the receiving end of that pass. Again, back to pass deep, no one there.
Pass
As
is
the intended
incomplete.
receiver on this play was Derek Rogers, number 7.
Well, he was rushed. Haskell was rushed. There was 2 defenders right in his face, and he let that go, and it was a good 10 yards in front of the intended receiver.
So that stops the clock with 2.5 minutes remaining in the first quarter. And it brings up a 3rd down and about 7 for the Raiders. Tim Cole with Bob Hintz coming to you from Darling Stadium. This game taped on the 26th of October, a chilly Friday night in October 1990. And Mario Haskett keeps on the quarterback option, and he will be well short of a first down.
Well, he was met there by 2 or 3 people. One of them, of course, was Kevin Giles, along with number 52. Also for the defensive team, and that's Bryce Barrett, who, by the way, is the one that got that touchdown on that block punt last week. And I believe you know that young man.
Well, I actually don't know him. I know his father, and I know his dad was real happy for him.
Bailey back deep for the
very proud of his son. Tom Bailey will be standing back inside of his 30-yard line. The Phantoms put the rush on, contact made with the punter, but no penalty flag. Bailey picks it up in a crowd and returns a couple of yards to the 32.
Whoa, what a scary thing.
Left to go in the first quarter.
So the Phantoms almost blocked that kick. In fact, it looked like they had a real good opportunity to do so.
Well,
but the punter was just able to get it away.
Had the punter fallen down, he may have got a flag.
Yes, he very well may have. Harold was the punter. Watch this now. You're going to see 4 Phantoms, and they actually make contact with him right here, but he stayed on his feet. And I think you're right. If he had fallen down, they may have gotten the call. So the Phantoms take it back now with a minute and a half to go here in the first quarter. And they'll start from their 32-yard line. Not much happening as the Warwick defense has really done a fine job of stacking up this running attack.
They really have. Well, I don't know what adjustments that Bill Lyons has done, but they really have done a job so far in holding this potent Phoebus offense, and we've got a helicopter flying.
I hope it's a helicopter.
Well, they come over to check out the game, I'm sure.
Loss of a yard on the play by the Phantoms. It'll be 2nd down and 11 for Phoebus. This is Beckner on the keeper. He gets away from one tackler, another tackler. Finally gets across the 38-yard.
About 4 or 5 yards on the play.
So a gain of about 5 on the play for Kevin Beckner.
Those were hard yards. He was hit 2 or 3 times, but he is a very determined young man.
Down about 5.
He picked up 5, and it was 11 to go, so he picked up 6 on that carry. Watch how many times he gets hit and doesn't go down. He gets hit right here, number 1, by the initial tackler, and he just gets right out of his. There's number 2, 3, 4. But before he finally gets down, he was caught from behind.
And that's the end of the first quarter. With the score, the Warwick Raiders.
Just as the Phoebus Phantoms get ready to snap the ball, the first quarter comes to an end. So the only scoring in the first quarter is that of the Warwick Raiders as they take their first possession and drive the length of the field. They took 8 plays. They went 63 yards. It took them 2 minutes and 32 seconds. And the extra point made it 7-0 as they are shooting for the upset. Of course, we did not see the game last week between Warwick and Bethel, but the Bethel team was able to come away with a victory, a injury-decimated Bethel team, to which we send our hearty congratulations to them, because the Bruins of Bethel just had to really reach back to win a big game like that and show the determination that Coach Kozlowski and his coaching staff has instilled in those players.
Well, and if you talk to the coaches in the district, they will tell you that Bethel has a great offensive team. This Paul London has just really come to be probably one of the top quarterbacks in this area, and their thing that's hurt them is, of course, as you alluded to, were their losses, but their defense isn't as strong as their offense, and they did a good job against this a good Warwick team. Of course, Warwick may have been looking ahead. They may have been looking at this Phoebus team, and sometimes that'll happen, Tim.
3rd down for the Phantoms, 3rd down and about 4. Inside handoff for Hopkins does not fool the Warwick Raiders. Chad Hopkins took the reverse handoff, and the Warwick Raiders defended it well. We didn't mention the coaching staffs for these two teams, and we very well should. I'll run down the ones for Warwick if you'd like. Bill Lyons, of course, is the head coach. Mike Feldman is the offensive coordinator. Dion Ruffin is the defensive coordinator. Here's your replay of that last play. Watch Hopkins come over from his tailback position, or at least his flanker position. Thomas Jackson is one of the JV coordinators. Purcell Carter, John Wright, and Carone Lowe are the rest of the staff. Lau, excuse me. And I'll let you do the Phoebus team when time gives us the opportunity. Beckner gets a pretty good kick away, a low line drive. It takes a Phoebus roll all the way down to the 15-yard line where it's fallen upon by number 44, Antonio Banks.
Yeah, the coaches for the Phoebus team, a head coach, of course, is Coach Bill D. They're assisted by Greg Navard, Mike Talon, Arbery Perry, Keith Best, and Mike Tyndall.
First quarter statistics just handed me by Computerland's Gary Moore. The Raiders and the Phantoms, even with first downs in the first quarter with 3 apiece. Third down efficiency, the Raiders were 0 for 1, the Phantoms 2 for 3.
First and 10 Raiders.
And I'll get into some individual stats for you momentarily as the Raiders now will take over from their 15-yard line. Mario Haskett hands to Melvin Haskett for 2. For the Raiders, they were paced by Jernigan. He had 3 carries for a total of 19 yards. Melvin Haskett had 2 carries for 11, and Mario 3 carries for 4. A total of 8 rushes, 34 yards for the Raiders. Their longest was an 11-yard, and they didn't have that touchdown, the 1-yard touchdown for Mario Haskett. For the Phantoms, Beckner carried 6 times for 59 yards. Turner 3 for 21. Moore 1 for 3, and Giles 2 for 2. And again, not much happening, maybe a yard on the play for the Raiders. Passing department finds Mario Haskett 2 out of 3 for 37 yards, the longest being a 32-yarder to his brother Melvin. Now check that, Rogers got the catch, not Melvin Haskett, but Rogers, number 7, and that was a 32-yarder. And in the passing department, Beckner was 0 for 2 for the Phantoms. Time of possession, the Raiders had the ball 6:40, while the Phantoms had it 4:40 versus 6:20. Pass for Rogers goes incomplete, and it'll bring up a 4th down for the Raiders.
Well, this will be the first time the Raiders have had to punt going into this wind. They hadn't had to punt yet, but they are now going into the wind, and throwing the ball is going to be a little bit difficult. And, of course, punting the ball, we'll see what kind of effect it has on their punter.
9:36 remaining in the first half. And our score remains the Warwick Raiders 7 and the Phoebus Phantoms nothing. Thomas Bailey will field the punt.
He's back much too far, and I see the coaching staff telling him to move up some.
Randy Harrell has trouble with the snap. The ball is going to be the Phoebus Phantoms inside the 10-yard line.
That ball was snapped way too high. He's very, very lucky he even caught that ball. Had he not caught it, Phoebus would have ended up with either 2 points or a touchdown. What a big break for the Phantoms.
So a break of a major sort at the 5-yard line. The Phantoms are making that to 6. Here's your replay. Now watch Harrell. This ball way over his head. He did a super job of even slowing the ball down. As you said, Bob, he certainly prevented a score of some type, whether it was a safety or a touchdown, but nonetheless it belongs to Phoebus at the 6-yard line. First and goal. Out of the wishbone. This is Beckner keeping. He's going to fumble at the goal line. Started to say he was going to score. He was in the end zone, but he forgot the football.
Wow. He did a great job. I didn't even think he had the ball, and he got in the end zone, and the ball never made it across.
He fumbled just as he got to the 1-yard line, and fortunately for the Phantoms, he was able to reach back and regain control. Now the Raiders are going to call a timeout with the ball resting inside the 1-yard line, and the Phantoms with an opportunity to at least make this game a 7-6 game. Here's your replay. Watch Beckner. Does a good job of the fake here. He fakes to the first man.
That's Chris Moore. And then he got a nice block from number 33, Kevin Giles.
He ran into one of his own men. See, the ball is actually behind him right there. Then he reaches around, and he and one of his teammates lunged for the ball. I can't make out exactly. We can finish that. Well, maybe that's all we had. But it was, I don't believe it was Beckner that recovered the fumble. It was one of his teammates that got it. I don't know if we can pick that up and see it again during the timeout or not. Maybe our director can do that for us one more time. There you see the Warwick Raiderette cheerleaders. And again, we are happy to have those of you in Newport News on Channel 36 watching the ball game. Kevin Beckner keeps the quarterback keeper. Touchdown. So the quarterbacks have returned the favor to each other. A 1-yard TD for each of the quarterbacks. This one comes with 9:04 remaining in the first half. And John Jensen will be on to try and tie this ball game. There you see the Phoebus High School marching band. A very chilly night at Darling Stadium. Jensen will kick out of Bailey's hole. The kick is long enough and it's good.
We have a tie ball game.
So 2 plays after the mishandled snap. We'll get a chance to watch this play again. Thank you, Mr. Director. Scotty Bowers is able to show us one more time. Maybe we can give credit to the young man who did recover the
Number
fumble.
54 did a good block in there, Kevin Giles. And right here, he runs into his own man and lost the ball. And as he come back, I can't see, does that look like number 60? No, somebody else is already there. And I don't know who got it for the Phantoms, but number 73, our director says, is the one that ended up with the ball. And that's
T.J. Shields.
T.J. Shields.
So until
Very
proven
heads
otherwise,
up. Very heads up.
Until proven otherwise, we'll give Mr. Shields the fumble recovery. And that was, as you said, a very important situation. The poor snap from center and a fine effort by Harold to prevent almost an instant recovery in the end zone. He leaped high in the air to get a hold of it and just was able to barely do just that. And of course, the Phantoms took advantage of the turnover, and they've tied it up at 7. Jensen will kick it off. He's got the wind behind him. This is taken by Hooker at the 3-yard line. He picks it up at the 1. And he's out across the 10. A late flag comes down.
There was a clip in there, and I know that's where the flag came from, but he really did a good job of running. Hooker did a good job of running the ball back because he had to pick it up after he fumbled it back at about the 2-yard line. It looks like an illegal push in the back. Nice, strong kick. That wind at your back really makes a difference. And you can see he picks up at the 1-yard line, Tim.
Hey, corners, be away! Corners, be away!
You couldn't see it on the screen, but the referee indicated a clip. And of course, that goes half the distance back. And they mark the ball at the 7-yard line. So the Raiders will start deep in their own territory with our game tied at 7. Mario Haskett with a long count. And the running game not doing much for the Raiders right now. The defense for the Phantoms, which has been superb all year long against the run, is starting to assert themselves.
Well, they really seem to have come alive a little bit. They looked a little sluggish there at the beginning of the ball game. And I'm not taking anything away from the Raiders. The Raiders came out looking real sharp. But when you're down with your back to the goal line, it's hard to do anything but try to get a first down. You don't want to try anything silly and turn the ball over.
Here you see a flip.
Nice run there.
This young man is still not down. He's finally taken down close to a first down. He's going to be a little shy of the first. And the running back that time was 33. That is Jernigan. Tremaine Jernigan carrying the ball for the Raiders. He averages a little more than 6 yards a carry. He's carried 57 times for 350 yards. We'll see it again and again.
Watch how many times he gets hit. Does a good job here, breaking 1 tackle, sidesteps 2 more, and it just doesn't want to come down. What a nice run.
It's 3rd down and about 1.5 yards, and the first down is picked up by the Raiders.
Well, that gives you a little breathing room now if you're on the Raiders side of the field. You got your first down. You got the ball out there close to the 20-yard line now, so, your little breathing room.
We do want to take this opportunity to thank our fine friends at the Daily Press for providing us with statistics for tonight's ball game. Mike Keach, Sonny Dirth, Terry Armour, and all that group down there. We appreciate it very much. They're most generous to share these statistics. Fine effort that time by number 87. Bursting in was Arna Bontemps. And he put a hurt on the Warwick Raider for a substantial loss.
Well, he's another one of those two-way performers. He plays tight end on offense and tackle on defense, and he did a great job. Nobody hit him or he slipped the block, but he was there when the ball got there.
You saw the replay.
No, in fact, it lost him a yard on the play.
Actually, a loss of 2 on the play, 2nd down and 12. Haskin, the left-handed passer. Kevin Giles put his hands up, blocked the pass.
He had it, didn't know he had it, Tim.
He didn't know he had it, is right. Okay, we're going to return to Darling Stadium with 6.5 minutes remaining. Our score tied at 7. We'll be right back.
The one, Chad Hopkins, good defense on the play.
The pass completed on 3rd and 12 to the Raiders' Rogers.
Watch it on
replay. We'll get a
replay.
chance to see it again. And there's a late flag after the play was over, and I'm just not sure what this is all about.
Okay. Personal foul. We charged against the Raiders.
Saw a good effort on the far side, and then immediately after that, if you'd seen it a little further, something happened on the sideline, and a flag went up, and it's going to be charged as a personal foul against the Warwick Raiders.
Well, and that'll be a dead ball foul, Tim, because that happened after the play as we scramble for our papers.
So it will be a 4th down.
The receiver threw the ball at the tacklers. What happened? Our producer, Sam, still picked that up. I didn't pick that up.
So Harrell, this time standing on the goal line, will try and get a better snap. And the Phantoms have no one back deep to field the punt. They are coming. He gets it away, no contact, and a rather poor kick. It takes a bounce in favor of the Phantoms as it started to go back towards the goal line.
Well, number 82 for the Phantoms was standing there, had that ball hit him, it would have been a live ball, and it almost hit him.
So the poor kick into the wind, and certainly no reflection upon his abilities. That's a vicious wind he's kicking into.
That's what I talked about earlier. The wind is really going to affect the kicking game.
28-yard line is where the Phantoms will set up first down. They have just tied the score just a few moments ago with 6 minutes remaining in the first half. They now have a chance to take a lead with a touchdown here. Beckner will not have a chance on the option play as he will be ridden to the ground on a good defensive effort by number 42 for the Raiders. That is Damon Taylor, who has been very much in the picture of the defense tonight for the Warwick Raiders.
This Raider team looks so strong sometimes that they just really stifle and threw Beckner for about a 5-yard loss that time. They really come up with some big plays, but they have been hurting themselves on the personal foul and, of course, that high snap from center, which allowed the Phantoms to score.
2nd down and about 14 for the Phantoms. Kevin Beckner keeps on the quarterback option, gets away from one tackler, and finally gets back to about the 27-yard line. So he picks up the loss that he had and then about 2 more. Maybe 1. It's going to be 3rd down and a long 8, almost 9. 4:44 remains in the first half. Tim Cole and Bob Hintz coming to you from chilly Darling Stadium this 26th of October, 1990. You're watching the Phoebus Phantoms, 7-0 overall, 6-0 in the district, and the 5-2, 4-2 Warwick Raiders. Beckner fakes to Moore, now wants to throw and throws a poor pass, a late flag again. Beckner just doesn't really have the arm to throw the ball. He threw that ball very poorly, and the Phantoms were actually quite fortunate that they didn't have an interception. And now an offensive interference call will go against the Phantoms.
Well, that will be a loss of down, too, if I'm not mistaken.
So Dave Riesbeck will mark off the penalty. We have had too many penalty flags here in the first half.
Pass interference. Down.
Well, we had part of his.
But it was a loss of down, as I thought it would be.
That penalty carries loss of down.
So a substantial loss for the Phantoms and a loss of down. And they'll be in deep punt formation.
Back to right away for the Phantoms.
Clock stopped with 4:24 remaining in the half. Beckner, contact made, no flag.
I don't believe there was no flag. Unless he figured somebody hit the touch the ball.
I guess maybe no blood, no foul.
Well, we saw one game where the punter put on a great move, and I believe it was the Bethel punter, Taylor. He didn't get touched, but he fell down and he got the flag.
This time, Beckner most definitely was touched. Now, they may say he caused it after he kicked the ball and leaned into the onrushing lineman. It looked like there was contact, but the official right on top of the play had a no call on it. And now the Raiders, and they whistle, and what do we got here now?
We got timeout, Phoebus. I don't believe they've got enough people in the game. They only had 10 players out there. Somebody picked it up. It looked like it might have been Maurice Turner who saw that they were a man short, and you don't want to be a man short against any team, and especially a team that has been known for big plays as this Raider team has.
The clock stops with 3:59 remaining. We're knotted up at 7, a battle between the first place Phoebus Phantoms and the third place Warwick Raiders.
Tim, well, we got a timeout here. I do want to mention to the fans that we asking you to send in your cards and letters, because we are going to give away a stadium seat, which is donated by this Turner Sports Place in Willow Oaks shopping mall, and Scotty will put up the place where the address, which is 1819 Nickerson Boulevard in Hampton, Virginia 23663.
Bontemps tackling the running back. That was Jernigan, and Jernigan was stopped immediately upon getting the handoff. There you see, there's the address. If you would, send your cards and letters. Keep those cards and letters coming.
We would love to hear from you.
And we'd like to have your comments if there are things that you'd like to give us some of your opinions and ideas about it. We'd certainly like to hear from you. Our purpose is to entertain you and to highlight the fine efforts of the Hampton City school systems.
And you only got
teams.
about 3 weeks to get in.
That's right. That solid gold stadium seat. I think I made that part about the solid gold up.
Yeah, I don't think Dave Chubb
Just kidding about
got a solid gold.
Just wanted to see if you were listening. Pass completion on a nice effort from Haskett to Jamie Phillips, number 21.
Well, that was a nice fake in the backfield. He had a lot of time because he made a nice fake, and that brings up third and very short.
Well, actually, they're going to measure because they're not sure that in fact it is a third. There you saw Chad Hopkins overplay him. Then Bailey was able to make the tackle. Giles coming in to make sure, but it's real close to a first down. So it'll be short of the first. It'll be third down and inches. As the Raiders now, with 3 minutes remaining in the half, have one timeout remaining. Phoebus has used their allotted 3 here in the first half. Mario Haskett has 2 wide receivers to the left. Clock is restarted now with less than 3 minutes remaining. Haskett gives off right side, a first down registered by the Raiders.
First down, Raiders.
Ball carrier was Melvin Haskett.
Melvin Haskett on the carry.
Melvin Haskett has averaged 9 yards a carry on the season. 56 times he's carried it for 505 yards. His best game of the season was 2 games ago against Denby when he had 109 yards rushing. And he had 108 against Maury in the opening game of the season. First down for the Raiders. Quarterback Haskett, the left-hander, throws, and it's almost caught by his brother.
And almost picked off by Maurice Turner.
Yes,
and what a great job had the offensive man caught the ball.
So 2 players truly had a good chance to catch that ball. Here's your replay. Left-handed Haskett will throw this one up, and it'll go right off the fingertips of the Phantom, and then Melvin Haskett, his brother, can't hold on to it. And it brings up a 2nd down and 10 with 2:25 remaining. Haskett still has it. Throws, has a man wide open at the 45-yard line, and that'll be another 1st down for the Raiders.
Well, the wind is still blowing, but it's not seemed to be affecting the passing game at all. Is that Melvin Haskett?
No,
who's the quarterback?
That was the tight end, Tyrone Davis, who made the catch all the way out at the 45-yard line.
Mario Haskett is really impressing me, throwing that ball into a stiff wind.
He throws it up again, and almost, if he had connected on that one to Jamie Phillips, Phillips would have waltzed into the end zone as he was well behind the defense.
But I don't believe the pass was intended for Phillips. I believe it was intended for the short man, and it just was short. I don't know if we have that on replay or not, Tim, but here we watch this. You'll see the throw, and it's really for the short man, and it was overthrown, but you're right, number 21, who was out of the picture, was wide open.
Haskett back. Now he'll run with the football. He's across the line of scrimmage. He must run with it. He tries to get out of bounds to stop the clock. And as of yet, I have not seen a signal to indicate that he has, so the clock will continue to run. And with just the 1 timeout remaining, they will have to hurry up. 4th down and 4 for the Raiders. And now a timeout is being called by the officials. Got an equipment problem. Quarterback Haskett has a chin strap that is not in place, and of course, again, safety of the players foremost in the minds of the officials. It's 3rd down. I correct myself, the yard marker had indicated 4th, but in fact it's 3rd, and Mario Haskett will not get anywhere close to the 1st down. In fact, he's lucky to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, now it's 4th down, and we will see a punt. There's no way that Warwick is going to give the ball to the Phoebus in that good a field position.
Bill D on the sidelines, you may hear him. He's yelling to his team to come up on defense, not to worry about returning the kick. And in fact, there will not be a kick, as it is a fake. On the play, Randy Harrell, the punter, tried to throw the ball. There is a flag down.
Which may be a holding if it's in a position of where a holding call will be called a lot of times. No, it is illegal procedure. But Bill D picked that up. He knew there was not going to be a punt, that they were going to fake it. I don't know what he saw, but he got his fellas back up there where they should have been.
He was yelling to his team, defense, defense, defense. In other words, don't be fooled by the play. It's going to be an offensive play. So the Phantoms will take over with 47 seconds remaining. They have no timeouts left.
Well, and what they did in that case was they declined the penalty because it was 4th down.
This is Chris Moore carrying for just one of the few times here, as he has been pretty much not involved in the offense. There you see our position and the Channel 5 banner right here at Darling Stadium. 30 seconds, the clock moving. The Phantoms seemingly not in any great hurry to get another play off. They will have time, however. Checking into the backfield is number 30. That's Rodney Vincent, who has seen limited time. Pass almost completed. It was in the hands of Calvin Chapman, but he couldn't hold on to it. The Panthers just are not a passing team. They need to accept that fact.
Well, now that was not the fault of the quarterback.
No, it wasn't.
That was right in the hand.
That was Chapman, and he had 3 catches against Gloucester, and that's all he's done this year. Of course, ever since that game, the Phantoms haven't thrown the ball.
Watch the replay here.
Well,
the ball hits him right in the hands, and he just drops it. But Thomas Bailey is now in at, is he in the wide receiver? Where? Because I saw him going in the.
Well, the Phantoms have 2 wide receivers out of the eye. Beckner will just throw a Hail Mary. He's got Bailey well covered by 3 defenders, and the ball falls incomplete with just 4 seconds remaining. So the Raiders were going to give up a shorter pass. They had the prevent defense intact, and the Phantoms still couldn't connect. We've got time for at least one more play here in the first half. It is 4th down. Of course, the clock stopped with that incomplete pass. Again, the same alignment out of the eye, 2 wide receivers to the near side, and a split back to the left. This time the Phantoms will just elect to run it out as the ball is handed off to Vincent to end the first half. So we've battled to a 7-7 tie at halftime. The Raiders on their first possession scored, and then after a turnover, or actually a 4th down situation that resulted in a high snap to the punter and an ensuing fumble recovered by the Phantoms, they took 2 plays to tie it up at 7, and that's where we stand at halftime.
When you're growing up, it's tough enough when emotions are stirred. And honesty, it's so hard to see when your vision is blurred. Well, I can see it in your eyes, and I can hear it in your cries. Don't you know it's so hard to get started when you don't have anything?
If you're a kid with troubles, you've got a friend at Boys Town. Whether you're a boy or a girl, Boys Town has a caring person just a phone call away who will really listen to your problems and help you solve them. If you're being abused, using drugs or alcohol,
running away, pregnant, or just need somebody to talk to, call Boys Town's hotline.
It's 1-800-448-3000. There's no charge, and you can call anytime.
Raiders, they picked up 62 yards rushing on 18 carries, and they had 70 yards passing. The Raiders, or rather the Phantoms, had 96 yards all on the ground, and they were 0 for 5 passing. Punts, each team punted 3 times. The Raiders 3 times for an average of 18, while 33 yards per kick for Kevin Beckner. Penalties were equal with 3 each for the teams. The Phantoms penalized 45 yards, while the Raiders for 33. And each team, of course, had the rushing touchdown. A quarterback for each team scored from 1 yard out, and the extra points were good. Beckner led the Phantoms with 10 carries for 71 yards. His longest was that 46-yard scamper that he had. Turner carried 3 times for 21. Moore only 2 times for 11 yards. Giles 2 for 2 yards. Hopkins 1 for 2, and Vincent 1 time for no gain. On the other side of the ledger, Jernigan had 6 carries for 30 yards. Mario Haskett 6 carries for 16, and Melvin Haskett 6 carries for 18 yards. A total of 64 yards with a 2-yard loss, making a net of 62. Haskett was 5 of 10 passing. Harrell 0 for 1 on the fake punt as we are underway. The Phantoms kicking off to start the second half. This is fielded by Jernigan at the 5-yard line, and he is out to the 25 before he's taken down by a pair of Phantoms. Among those, at least in on the stop, was Chad Hopkins, number 1. And that pretty much tells the story of the statistics, where time of possession is almost identical, 11:59 for the Raiders, 12:01 for the Phantoms. Well, Bob, if you're the coach for Phoebus, what do you do differently in the second half to get your offense on track?
Well, you got to get your offensive line firing off and opening up some holes. They're missing some assignments. And you've got to get your defensive secondary to play a lot better and not let them get the passes that they have been getting. And your defensive line is not putting any pressure on Mario Haskett.
Marlon Hooker on the receiving end of Haskett's pass. And it's a pickup of 5, second down and 5.
And if you're the Raiders, Tim, what you've got to do is quit making those mistakes that hurt you. That punt that was a bad snap, and they turn the ball over in the 6-yard line. You can't do that.
Here's the
and
replay.
win many ball games. And you can see the nice catch by Hooker.
Second down and 5. Mario Haskett flips back to Jernigan. Tremaine Jernigan trying to get to the first down marker. He's going to be close. A good effort by Jernigan to get the first down.
Well, he did a great job of following his blockers that time. Phoebus has got to start attacking and not letting the offense dictate where the ball is going.
He's going to be an official's timeout to measure as it's close enough. I believe old Eagle Eye Cole here is going to go out on a limb and say he got the first down.
Oh, I think he's got it by a football, Tim. If that line is straight, and I'm assuming that Larry Malloy and his group does it, and that is a football length.
Yeah, it's a little easier to tell from up here, but it was a first down for the Raiders. So with 10:46 remaining in the third quarter, we're just underway. The only score in the first half for each team, the quarterbacks carried it in from 1 yard out, and the kickers put the extra points on the board, and we're tied up at 7. Mario Haskett has Rogers wide to the left, and he's got Marlon Hooker wide to the right. Split backfield, and the handoff with a big gainer, Melvin Haskett out to the 49-yard line. Another first down for the Raiders.
And a saving tackle by James Barrett, number 11, who is the cornerback. Had he not been there, that would have been gone. What that time, what the Raiders did, Tim, was they spread out and really stretched that defense and just did a quick pop right through the middle, and you can see nobody was there.
Just a quick trap, and Haskett, with his good quickness, broke into the open. As you said, Barrett hanging on, but another first down for the Raiders at the 49. Mario Haskett zings it to the near sideline for Marlon Hooker, and Hooker falling as he was trying to make the grab, couldn't hold on to it, and that'll stop the clock with 10:01 left. It'll be second down and 10.
Well, you say one thing about Bill Lyons and his philosophy. He's not going to change it just because it's a little windy out there. They're a good running team and a good passing team, and Mario Haskett has impressed me with his passing.
Second and 10 from the Warwick 49. Rogers and Hooker wide to the right. Mario Haskett is stopped for no gain.
And the reason he was stopped, again, Aaron Bontemps, what a great job he's playing on defense tonight. We have called his name 2 or 3 times. He was right in the middle of that backfield and made Mario move one way or the other, and by that time he had nowhere to go but down.
That was Arna.
Arna, I'm sorry.
Arna Bontemps.
He's big. I don't want to mess his name up.
Third down and 10 for the Raiders. Phillips to the near side. Rogers to the wide right. Haskett still has the football. He's going to get a big gain out of this. He may go all the way. He is dragged out of bounds inside the 20-yard line.
Well, he did a great job, and what he did that time was he made I believe he changed the play at the line of scrimmage. He saw something. He faked the dive and just kept the ball, and that was all. He had preordained what he was going to do that time.
Here's your replay. Watch what happens. He fakes the dive play to Jernigan.
And our cameramen were even fooled for a second.
Only for a second, though. You say he stepped out of bounds at the 19-yard line.
The one that was chasing him was the quarterback on the other side, the safety, Kevin Beckner.
Haskett to Hooker on the near side. Hooker inside the 15 to the 14. So that'll be a gain of 5.
Phoebus is just giving up, they've given up 10 yards. The wide receivers, there's 10 yards between them and the defender. And we've got looks like a hurt Phoebus ball player down there. May have been, yeah, his leg is bent back underneath him.
LD and the assistant coaches and trainer are out there to take a look at the young man. I'm not sure who it is at this point.
Well, that's a doctor. I believe that may be Dr. White. I'm not sure, in the blue jacket and the tan pants.
I'm able to attend to him. This gives me an opportunity to mention to you that we here at Channel 5 appreciate the large number of requests that we've received for our schedule. Those of you who would wish to pick up a schedule may do so by coming by the office between the hours of 8 and 4 Monday through Friday. So if you'd like to pick up your Channel 5 schedule, here's the replay. Let's see if we can see what happened here. You can see the Phoebus player, the play fell on top of him on the tackle, and that's probably like not moving, and they're going to be very cautious to not move him until they're certain that he can be moved. But again, to repeat that for you, we at Channel 5 would like for you to come by and pick up your schedule by our office between the hours of 8 and 4, Monday through Friday. We have a large supply on hand, and we'd love to have you come by and pick yours up.
And well, we also have a break in the action. I do want to again mention the player of the game that we're picking for the Hampton players only. We're going to award a plaque to the player of the game from the Phoebus team, and that will be donated by DC Engraving. This is a sample of metal photo. DC Engraving is located in York Village Shopping Center on Route 17 in Grafton. And also we're giving a shirt to the players that has Player of the Week and of course our station's logo on it. And it's very similar to the shirts that our staff wears. And these are donated by Turner's Hardware and Sports Place, which is located in Willow Oak Shopping Center. Turner's also has 2 other locations to serve you. You people in Newport News watching this on Channel 36 can go to Denby Hardware and Sporting Goods located in Denby Square. And then the newest store is a Sports Place, which is located at the shops at Hampton Harbor next to Hampton University. And we would like again to thank those 2 fine outfits, DC Engraving and Turner's Hardware and Sports Place, and we can see the young man coming off the field, and that's number 11.
That's James Barrett, who is being helped off the field, and hopefully he will not be out for long. He is
well, he's a 2-way starter. He plays the split end and the cornerback.
So it's 2nd down and 6 for the Raiders. The pitch goes to Jernigan. The play strung out nicely by the Phoebus defense, and Jernigan will be barely back to the line of scrimmage.
Well, that was a great job by the defense. They run him right out to the sideline. He had nowhere else to go.
There was a fumble on the play, but apparently the Raiders recovered the ball. Both sides were pointing, indicating that they had recovered, but in fact the ball will remain in the possession of the Raiders. 8:35 remaining. They marked the ball at the 15-yard line, so a loss on the play of about a half a yard. And it brings up a 3rd down and 6 for the Raiders. Marlon Hooker wide to the left. Mario Haskett is sacked at the 20-yard line.
That was a great job, and look who's in there. Bontemps again.
He was there along with Maurice Turner, who is another strong 2-way player for the Phantoms. So the sack moves the ball all the way back to the 24, a very important defensive play by the Phantoms. It takes the Raiders to a considerable field goal distance.
Make about a 37-yarder.
37-yard field goal attempt.
This will be attempted by Kevin Perry, number 16. Perry's kick is up. It's going to be no good, wide to the left. So Perry cannot connect for the field goal, and the score remains tied at 7.
And in all fairness to him, that wind is blowing right in his face, and blowing not only in his face, but also in the direction where the ball went. So very well the wind could have pushed it over. But a nice defensive stance, by the Phoebus Phantoms.
Perry had 1 field goal earlier in the year, but this time was unable to put it through. And a 26-yard field goal against Menchville. And again, thanks to the Daily Press for providing us with those statistics. 20-yard line is where the Phantoms will start. This is Chris Moore, who only carried the ball twice in the first half. And he gets the call here in the 3rd quarter. He may be hurt. He just hasn't gotten the ball that often. You know, they almost exclusively go between Turner and Moore.
Well, and one of the reasons.
Got a hip pointer on the young man. Is that what he was saying, Barrett? Oh, Moore has a hip pointer, okay. So that explains why he's not carrying the ball much. We are told that the reason Chris Moore has not done much of the ball carrying is he is suffering a hip pointer. 25-yard line is
explain not getting the ball, Tim. If you've ever had a hip pointer, you'll know what it's like.
No, and I don't know what it is. You might explain for the fans what it is.
It feels like the muscle is pulling away from the hip itself, and it's very, very painful.
How do you get over it? I mean, is it just up to him?
Therapy, and you just work it out. It's not an easy thing to come by.
I've heard people talk of them before, but I never did quite understand. Close to the first down, it's going to be very important as to where the mark of the ball is placed, because the ball is right on the 30. That should be a first down just by the nose of the ball, as the line of scrimmage was exactly the 20 to start with. And it is a first down. So Dave Riesbeck surveys the situation and indicates, in fact, a first down registered to the number. Right across there, you see the ball squarely on the 30-yard line.
Well, I tell you, that was all because of the effort of Kevin Beckner.
Beckner was the leading rusher for the Phantoms in the first half with 71 yards. Throw a 46-yarder in there, it'll boost your average every time.
We have a officials timeout right now, momentarily, while they're getting the change set.
And we are set to go with exactly 6 minutes remaining in the third quarter. We're still knotted up at 7. Raiders scored first. The Phantoms retaliated. This is Maurice Turner getting to the outside, and he's finally driven out of bounds. Again, the same young man that saved a touchdown earlier, William Yarborough, is the same man again. His quickness prevents another touchdown.
Well, that was a great call that time. Phoebus went out of their normal wishbone set, put Kevin Giles as a slot and a wideout on that same side, and gave the ball on a dive onto the second man going up the center. As you can see here, he was led by the fullback, and Maurice just does a great job, and then he cuts it to the left and just starts to outrun the pursuit.
Yarborough finally chased him out of bounds. I've been waiting for Turner to break loose all night long. He has that kind of breakaway speed. And into the middle of the line, this time the ball is carried by Kevin, check that, not Giles, but in fact Rodney Vincent, number 30. Pickup of about 2, second down and 8 for the Phantoms. And you see some of the cheerleaders from Phoebus High School on a very chilly night. I would say the temperature in the low 40s, maybe the mid 40s, but a tremendous wind chill factor tonight.
Oh, it really is. And I just saw that Chris Moore reported in, and he's now at the fullback position.
This is Turner. Maurice Turner on 2nd and 8 picks up about 3. You know, I don't want to belabor this point, but I want to take the proverbial hat off for our crew tonight. This is a rough time. You know, it's nice when it's in the 80s and there's a nice gentle breeze, but our camera people have been out there ever since the kickoff and have stayed during the halftime, and
they are freezing.
Yes, and our hats off to them. They do a great job.
I asked Jerome if this was what it was like out there. He said summer, and I was thinking it must be he's talking about summer in the Arctic.
I think so. Third down, a big third down for the Phantoms, and Kevin Beckner will not get a yard as the swarming defense of the Raiders smothers Beckner, and the Phantoms will be looking at a long 4th down.
Beckner will lose yards on the play.
So the defense for the Raiders has been superb tonight. They have really done a good job stopping this running attack of the Phantoms. Of course, you know, when you know the team is going to run most of the time, you can play run most of the time, and they really haven't been in a situation where a fake. This is a fake play. Rodney Vincent is going to have a first down at the 32-yard line.
What a nice call, and they were not ready for it at all.
I say he's got a first down. Let's wait and see exactly where they mark the football. It would appear to be enough for the first, and it is.
From the mark, he had a first down. What a gutsy call by Bill D. And I know that Warwick was not expecting that at all. They had 2 men deep. They were looking for the punt.
So the Phantoms.
There was no hesitation on that call at all.
Here's the replay. Rodney Vincent took the short snap from center and did a good job. He, of course, is a running back, and he was able to get the first down, and he was able to do so on an excellent second effort.
And he got that ball back to the inside. He would have picked up additional 5 or 10 yards. But he was following his blockers, and he wanted to make sure he got that first down. And
he did the right thing.
He sure did.
Ball marked at the Raider 27-yard line on the play, a pickup of 4, 2nd and 6. 3:04 remaining in the third quarter. Clock is running. 7-all our score. Left side carry for Turner. This is Maurice Turner.
Turner again on the carry.
He crosses the 25 to about the 24. It'll be third down now again for the Phantoms as they continue to have these crucial third down situations.
Well, this is a little shorter than the last one, but again, the Raiders have really stiffened up when it's got to a third down, and now we have a timeout called by the Raiders.
That'll be just their first timeout here in the second half. The Phantoms have all 3 of theirs remaining. And again, we remind you, even in spite of the wind chill factor tonight, a good crowd on hand for the Phoebus side of the field. There you see some of the Hardy fans, and our hats off to the fans too. I'm telling you, you got to really like your football to come out on a cold, windy night. It's one thing to be cold. I can deal with cold, but when that wind cuts through you like a knife,
well,
you got to have real heart.
What that wind's name is, they call that the hawk.
Yeah, I believe that.
When the hawk is blowing. Woo.
At any rate, we remind you that we'll be back here again next Friday night. Channel 5's crew will be here for the same Warwick Raiders as they'll visit the tough Kecoughtan Warriors, and we'll have that game for you here on Channel 5. And again, we are happy to know that Channel 36 is picking up our games, at least some of the games. In fact, I think they've carried the last 3 or 4 games. So we welcome those of you in Newport News to our coverage. I'm Tim Cole, and along with Bob Hintz, we have a 10-game regular schedule we do for the Hampton City School System here on Channel 5, and we hope you're enjoying the ball game. It's been a good one so far. It's been a very well-played game by both teams, except for a couple of silly infractions every now and then. And there you see an example of the freeze play where the Phantoms, on a hard count, try to draw the defense off, and it looks like that's what they did.
Well, and the quarterback, the center was real smart because he also centered the ball when the man was in the zone. But once he broke the zone, got in the neutral zone, that's encroachment, and that's a 5-yard penalty against the Raiders, which is a first down. It gives the ball is inside 20 at the 19 for the Phantoms. What a nice call. Bill D is very impressive.
First down, handoff goes to Kevin Giles. He gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's about all. And again, that tough Raider defense on the right side is there to stop him. Clock continues to move with 2:20 remaining in the third quarter. Our only near score here in the third quarter was that field goal attempt by the Raiders, which was wide to the left.
Well, if you're Bill D, you want to get something going here. Hopefully you want to get the touchdown, but if you don't, you want to kick the field goal at this end of the field. And of course, it's under 2 minutes now.
Kevin Beckner calls his own number, and he is stopped cold. Again, in on the stop for the Raiders, Antonio Banks, number 44, and he's been impressive on defense tonight. So the Phantoms now have bogged down after getting that first down on the hard count. Have not been able to move the ball on the 2 successive plays, and they look at a 3rd down and 9. No, not knowing that before time that Chris Moore had that hip pointer, that he is an intricate part of their running attack, and that could account for some of the troubles that they've been having. Pass too long in the end zone. The intended receiver was Chad Hopkins.
He had number 89 over here on the right-hand side, who was wide open for the Phantoms.
That stops the clock with 1:11 remaining in the third quarter. But it'll be a 4th down and 9 for the Phantoms.
We're going for a field goal.
And John Jensen, number 16, will check in. And let me look through my statistics here and see how many field goals Mr. Jensen has kicked. And he has kicked a total of 2. So we know he can put it through the uprights. He's also kicked 13 extra points. So
well, he's the first one to score points against the Crabbers this year.
And it's going to be another fake, but Bailey trips and falls, and it'll go over to the Raiders. That was a bizarre play.
I don't know that that was a called fake.
Warwick Raiders will take over.
Of course, Bailey, I'm sorry, you can watch it, but Bailey is also a quarterback and can really pass the ball.
I think he just dropped the snap. It looks like he just mishandled the snap.
Yeah.
So the Raiders get it at their 25-yard line. Phantoms unable to score. Swing pass to Tremaine Jernigan. He is out to the 30-yard line, a pickup of 5. We still have a ways to go, Bob, before the conclusion of the game in regulation time. We have not seen an overtime game yet, but there is a formula for determining a winner, as the VHSL does not have a tie ball game situation.
No, and we will get into that.
Should it materialize, we will talk about that as it does. Ball is just shy of the 30-yard line. It's second down and 5. Just 20 seconds remaining in the third quarter. Ball is loose, and it goes right into the hands.
Wow, what a nice bounce if you're on the Raiders side. That ball bounced right into the number 21, I believe, is the one for the Raiders that got that ball. What a nice bounce.
Jamie Phillips.
Jamie Phillips, and that is the end of the third quarter.
Here's the replay. You can watch the ball come loose. Right here, the hit, and the ball pops loose, and Phillips is right there to pounce on the ball and keep possession for the Raiders, as we are down now to the final 12 minutes of play. See, the Phoebus cheerleaders are smart. We can pan back a little bit, you see what they're wearing. None of these skimpy little shorts and stuff. They have warm-ups on the way they should.
Well, and if you look at the cheerleaders on the other side, they are the same way. They also have warm-ups on.
Hazardous duty
with bare legs tonight.
Hazardous duty pay out here. So the fourth quarter is set to get underway. A big third down for the Raiders, and this is a crucial third down. This coming at the 32-yard line. They need to get to the 35 for the first. Swing pass Jernigan. He's got the ball and the first down as he tightropes along the sidelines before he steps out. But he will pick up the first down at the 39-yard line.
They have a good passing attack, this Raider team. And he spreads the ball around. He doesn't look like he's got a receiver that he relies on all the time, he being Mario Haskett. And this was just a swing pass to your back coming out of the backfield. Just a nice play, and the number 52 missed the tackle. Made a nice effort there by the Phantoms, but he tight-roped and then stepped out of bounds.
Mario Haskett keeps on the quarterback option, and he is out close to the 44-yard line before he stopped. A gain of 5 again for the Raiders. Inside of 12 minutes to go in the ball game. You see one of the Sheriff's Department crew out here.
And he's bundled up.
Yeah, you better believe it. Gain of 5, second and 5 for the Raiders. Phantoms have all 3 of their timeouts remaining, while Warwick has 2. Mario Haskett, left-hander, throws incomplete. Intended for Rogers at the 45-yard line. It goes incomplete as he was being guarded by Kevin Beckner.
That was number 7 and number 7.
In the third quarter, the Raiders with 3 first downs, the Phantoms with 4. 50% efficiency on third down for the Raiders, 33% for the Phantoms. 62 net yards for Warwick, 50 for the Phoebus team.
Had Beckner not been going for the tackle that time, he could have caught that pass.
This one is lofted up, contact made, and no flag. The intended receiver was Marlon Hooker, and there was definitely contact between he and Thomas Bailey, but there's no flag. Apparently the officials on the play ruled incidental contact. Time of possession in the third quarter, 5:25 to 3:25 in favor of the Raiders. They were penalized once for 5, and the Phantoms were able to avoid the penalty flag in the third quarter. Harrell standing back at his 33-yard line in deep punt formation. Single safety back, long count by the Raiders, trying to draw the Phantoms off. It doesn't work. Harrell has it blocked. The ball is blocked by the Phantoms, and it will belong to Phoebus.
There was only one man, and Phoebus was not trying to block that play, but somebody missed a block over on that left side of that Warwick line, and that young man, who was that came through and got that ball? Looks like this young man coming off right there, 80.
I can't make out his number, but here's the replay. See if you can pick it up.
Nobody touched him.
And he was right there to block the ball. Well, we're sorry we can't determine for sure, but let's give it to Rodney Reese until we're corrected otherwise. But nonetheless, it belongs to the Phantoms. This is Maurice Turner across the 30 to the 29. And the going has been tough against that Raider team on the rush.
Well, I tell you, it really has. They've made 2 mistakes tonight. One on a bad snap in a punting situation, and the second one was the block punt. The Phantoms took advantage of the first one and scored. Let's see if they can do the same thing this time.
Here's the block punt again.
He came through virtually untouched.
Beckner throwing the pass incomplete. No flags. Good coverage on the play by William Yarborough. He has been on the big defensive plays for the Raiders on 2 other occasions.
Well, that was a nice pass that time. He laid the ball in there. That was catchable had it not been for the good defense by Yarborough.
That was Rodney Reese out on the pattern, and it was a good-looking pass from Beckner, as you said. Third down and about 8 for the Phantoms. 9:56 remaining in the fourth quarter. We're tied up at 7. Beckner again wants to throw. He does. He's got a man open, and good defense again by Yarborough over on the play. The intended receiver was Chris Williamson, number 8.
And a good that was pass. A nice pass, Tim. Right on the money.
But a better defensive effort, and the player for the Raiders is shaken up. Down on the play would appear to be, I believe that's number 8. That would be Anthony Watson. Here's your replay. And Beckner got unloaded upon as he let it go. Watch this effort here. Yarborough really took a good hit on Chris Williamson.
Well, had he not come in, Williamson would have probably caught the ball. That's the trainer out there for the
I think we're looking
Raiders, and that's her last name is Lau. It's Carlin Lau, who is the trainer for the Warwick Raiders.
It would appear that he has a cramp. Here's one more look at that defensive effort, and Beckner gets crushed as he releases the ball. And here you see there's a good defensive effort by the Raiders. I did not see any contact at all prior to the ball making contact with the intended receiver, and then Yarborough leveled him. And in doing so, the Raider on the play, Watson, got shaken up, but he is all right as he is making his way off the field. I think he just had a cramp. So it's going to be 4th down now. The Phantoms have called a timeout to discuss the situation. There you see one of the fans in the stands with a Crabbers jacket on. We will have as our last regular season game the Hampton Crabbers and the Bethel Bruins in their annual tussle right here at Darling Stadium 2 weeks from tonight. There you see, yeah, they bring all the blankets. Mom is back at the house wondering, where are all the blankets at, honey? So the kids took them to the football game, and they need them tonight. So Bill D is on the field discussing the options with his team. They've got the ball at the 29-yard line. They need 8 yards for the first down.
And he got to get the first down. That is too far for the field goal. And officially into the wind.
What a great tuba. 4th and 8. Beckner fakes, drops back to pass, throws, got a man open, knocked away on a great defensive effort by the Raiders. The ball goes incomplete, and it go over to the Warwick Raiders.
That was intended for Kevin Giles, and it was just a little slow getting there. Had the ball been a little, about a second or two sooner, Kevin would have had the pass. That was a nice route that he ran. Coming
He's
out
open
of a
right
slot
there.
Back, but the ball was just a little slow getting there.
And that was Melvin Haskett on the defense. So another excellent two-way player for the Warwick Raiders. Melvin Haskett does the job on defense, and his team takes over. His brother Mario wants to throw long. He's got a man open momentarily, but he throws it too long. Marlon Hooker was the intended receiver, and again, Thomas Bailey drew the defensive call.
But Hooker had Bailey beat that time. Bailey can't afford to let Hooker get behind him. Hooker's got too much speed.
Stopping the clock with 9:39 remaining in the 4th quarter. The only scores on the field by each quarterback. 1-yard runs from Beckner and Haskett. Haskett feeling the pressure, sets up, delivers, the ball is batted around, and who's going to get it? Nobody. It goes incomplete.
Well, there was about 3 people that had a chance to get that, but if you saw number 33, Kevin Giles was crashing from his linebacker spot, and Mario Haskett had to really drop back deep to throw
Here's
that
your replay.
pass. He's getting a lot of pressure.
He's going to take a pretty good hit, too, right after he released the ball. Haskett did. He was touched first by a Phantom, then a Raider, then another Raider, and finally fell incomplete. 3rd down and 10. Mario Haskett reverse play. The Raiders stopped momentarily, but this is Rogers. He's going to get the first down and then some.
Well, there was just some real bad tackling on the part of the Phantoms over on that far side. One defender had a shot at him in the backfield, but he was stopped, it looked like, momentarily, but what a nice run.
Here's your replay. The man with the ball is Derek Rogers on the reverse.
Bontemps almost got a hold of him. But right here, you think that he's stopped, and he just runs right through a tackle. And finally tackled by Hopkins.
But not before he gets to the Phoebus 49-yard line. Haskett wants to throw, has the man open. Phillips has it, and then has it knocked away from him on a good stick by Thomas Bailey.
That was a nice hit because he had definitely caught the ball. I thought he may have been a fumble. It looked like he had it long enough, but the official right on the spot called it incomplete.
Watch it on the replay. You'll see Haskett rolling to the near side. He's left-handed, so he has to turn and square himself. Then he throws right into the hands of Phillips, and he's got it almost for a second. And then Bailey took him away from the ball. A good hit by Bailey. Mario Haskett decked to the backfield by Maurice Turner. So Turner knifed through and makes the sack for the 2-yard loss. Back to the 49-yard line of Warwick, so it brings up a 3rd down. The defenses for this game have been really something.
Well, there have been some outstanding plays by defensive players of both teams.
Another crucial 3rd down for the Raiders. Haskett feels the pressure and goes down at the 37-yard line.
And a flag.
And a late flag.
It may be holding Jim in that position. That was who was that, number 84 for the...
It's against the Raiders. Whatever the call is, it will go against Warwick, so the Phantoms will be in good shape. Here you see your replay. Haskett going back And the on-rushing lineman, number 84 for Phoebus, that's Andre Henderson. No one ever picked him up, and he smothered Mario Haskett. So the penalty is declined, and it'll bring up a 4th down and 22. Again, Harrell will be in deep punt formation. The Raiders have had a tough time with the kicking game tonight. Let's see if they can get this one away. Harrell gets a good snap and quickly kicks this time. No chance for a block. Thomas Bailey will watch the ball roll and be touched dead at the 29-yard line. No flags there. Anymore, you look for a flag on almost every play.
That's the truth.
7:57 remaining. Phoebus will start from their 30. And again, we remind you that Chris Moore, a very intricate part of the running attack, is suffering with a hip pointer. And that's part of the reason why he has not carried the ball much tonight. He is in the backfield and has been in on a lot of the plays, but he just hasn't had his number called much. Out of the wishbone. Beckner, this is Maurice Turner, and he gets maybe a yard or two. Looks like the ball may have come loose, and who has the ball? One official says it belongs to Phoebus, but now they say Warwick has a fumble recovery.
What a big break for the Raiders. Hit the ball then on the 30-yard line. They stripped the ball as Turner hit that side. It's almost impossible to see who came up with the fumble recovery.
Well, nonetheless, the Raiders have it at the Phoebus 30, so the turnover could be very costly for Phoebus with just 7:11 remaining in the 4th quarter. We're tied at 7. A game you might have expected to see a high-scoring game. The defenses have excelled. We've got a pass out in the flat for Hooker, and Hooker is dragged out of bounds at the 23-yard line, but a 7-yard gain on the play.
Well, I thought I saw some motion on the offensive line before the ball was snapped, but we didn't see those flags out there.
I thought we saw some movement too. It may have all occurred at the same time the ball was snapped, but it looked like someone may have left early. But let's see if you can pick it up. Let's see. Let's watch.
No, the ball was snapped.
The ball was snapped, and everybody else moved after the play.
The ball snapped before the people were ready.
It was a good no call. Going for the 1st down, it will be short of the 1st. They need to get to the 20. Ball carrier on that play was Melvin Haskett. It's going to be 3rd down and a long yard, and a crucial 3rd down play here with 6:24 remaining. Almost every 3rd down is crucial anymore. I've been kind of redundant about that, but time is starting to be a major factor here. It looks like Haskett will get the 1st down. It will be close, however.
Well, that's the 1st down, Tim.
So Mario Haskett keeps the ball and gets a 1st down for the Raiders just inside the Phoebus 20. Exactly 6 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter. Mario Haskett, and he gets back to the line of scrimmage, and that's all.
Bontemps again was right in the backfield and made Mario have to run the ball, tuck the ball under his arm and run rather than try to pass. I'm sure that was a run and pass situation.
Number 84, Andre Henderson, making the stop for the Phantoms. We're going to have to give some strong consideration to our player of the game here, Bob.
Well, I've got Bontemps has been sticking his head up.
Pitch goes to Jernigan. Tremaine Jernigan gets to the 15-yard line. It'll bring up another 3rd down. And we'll be back with the conclusion of tonight's ball game after this brief timeout. Pass batted down by one of the Phoebus defenders. It goes incomplete. And Haskett is shaken up on the play. Mario Haskett took a hit after he released the football. I do not see a penalty flag. Not insinuating that you should, but he is down and hurt. And a 4th down will be coming up for the Raiders at the 15-yard line.
Well, that was Stephon Jamerson, who was another candidate for the player of the game, was the one that knocked that ball down.
Again, Kevin Perry has kicked a field goal this year, a 26-yarder. Let's see the replay here.
I didn't see what happened, who hit him.
Well, Haskett took a pretty good look just as he passed the ball. I could not see who did the...
It looked like Bontemps again. It looked like 87, but I'm not sure. But that was a...
Now the difference, I believe, Bill D wanted to go out on the field to discuss the situation, but this is an official's injury timeout, and therefore he's not allowed to go out on the field, I guess. So, okay, if you can't go to the mountain, they can bring the mountain to you.
Everybody else is coming, all right?
You going to try and make your way down to the sidelines, Bob?
I am, Jim, but
I'm
going to go down too soon.
Why is that?
2 reasons. One, that could be overtime.
Let's listen in and see if we can hear what Bill D says.
Come here. Stay here. Hey, Maurice, get in there. Let's get in there.
Here's your replay. Let's see if we can pick it up. I believe our director's saying that it was Bontemps, 87, who made the hit. It was, in fact, 87. So let's listen in if we can and hear what Bill D has to say.
And what? Maurice, cover. You can cover the game. Yeah, Maurice, but cover that outside. You come over here and cover the outside guy. Yeah, what we go to, inside in.
You don't want to lose sight of the fact that Mario Haskett is still down, and
he'll have to come out of the game for one play. The backup quarterback for the is this young man here, number Watson. I can't see his name, or Richards. It's number 8 or number 10 for the 2 backup quarterbacks for the Raiders.
Now Watson has played. He played in the first game against Maury, threw 1 pass and did not complete the pass. Anthony Richards has also played some at quarterback for the Raiders. He, in fact, has more impressive credentials than does Watson, so it may be either Richards or Watson who may take up the slack when Haskett has to come out. And he may not even be back after a play, so let's hope he's not seriously hurt. Bill D has gone over to the huddle. There you see him with Bill Lyons.
And in all fairness to the young man, Bontemps, that was a clean hit. There was nothing malicious about that hit. But when a quarterback is throwing the ball, he's extended himself and his ribs are exposed and he is very vulnerable. And of course, these are some of the things that happen in football, and we hope that it's just a temporary thing with Mario Haskett.
Well, it would appear that we are going to have yet a further extension of this timeout. So with that in mind, maybe we'll step out and come back when action resumes. Check with and Bill D is calling his team over, so it looks like it's going to be a little bit longer at least. So, Mr. Director, do you want us to take a timeout? All right. We're going to take a brief timeout. We'll return to the action as it resumes from Darling Stadium. We'll be right back.
When you're growing up, it's tough enough when emotions are stirred. And honesty, it's so hard to see when your vision is blurred.
Whether you're a boy or a girl, Boys Town has a caring person just a phone call away who will really listen to your problems and help you solve them. Call the Boys Town hotline toll-free, 1-800-448-3000.
See Mario Haskett being taken off the field on a stretcher, and we're very sorry to see this happen. The young man has played a very fine ball game, and of course we never want to see anybody get hurt. Hopefully he will only be, slightly injured and able to return for next week's game against the Kingston Warriors.
Number 16.
Hate to see anybody get hurt.
Right, number 16 for the Raiders is in there.
Kevin Perry, the kicker.
He's their point after in their field goal.
As I mentioned, Perry has one field goal this year at 26-yarder. This will be considerably longer than that, but he will have some help from a wind. But that wind gusting may not be as much a help as you'd like it to be, and it is coming across the field as well as behind his back. And of course, the holdup in the play here is while they get Mario Haskett into the ambulance. That's a real shame to see him go out with 4:45 to go in the ballgame. We're tied at 7. If you just joined us, I'm Tim Cole with Bob Hintz, coming to you from the new Darling Stadium in Hampton. Mario Haskett has the only points for his team on the touchdown, if you don't include the extra point from Perry. And the quarterback, his like position on the other side of the field, Kevin Beckner has the Phoebus touchdown. It also a 1-yarder. And John Jensen has put his extra point on the board to tie it at 7.
One of the things you have to be concerned about if you're the coaches is the players has been standing around for quite a while now, and they're starting to get chilled, and this is a time when you could have a pulled muscle or an injury because of cool down. So let's hope nothing like that happens.
It's going to be a 32-yarder. Kevin Perry will kick out of the hold of Anthony Watson. Perry's kick is up. It is good. So a 32-yard field goal from Kevin Perry unties the score. And the Raiders regain the lead.
What a nice kick, and there was a lot of pressure coming on him. And he got it up real quick. Phoebus put a lot of pressure on him.
Well, he had a lot of time to think about it, too.
Which is added pressure, so that's, again, even makes it a nicer and a more important kick.
So the Raiders take 7 plays. They go 15 yards in 2 minutes and 20 seconds. And Kevin Perry's 32-yard field goal is the difference in this ballgame. 4:40 remaining in the ballgame, and I should say in regulation time. The Phantoms now into the wind will have to at least go for a field goal and to tie the ball game if they can. Perry will kick off. Turner, Bailey, and Giles back deep for the Phantoms. Perry's kick is taken by one of the up men at the 28-yard line, and he returns it to the 40, so the Phantoms will have good field position 60 yards away from the end zone. That ball handled by the up man. That was Rodney Vincent, who is a running back for the Phantoms, so he has the good hands, and he was able to make a good return out of that all the way to the 41. And again, another player shaken up, and I think this is, again, what we're seeing a lot of is these cramps, because these young men have had to sit around in this cold and have been somewhat immobilized for the last 10 or 15 minutes while they attended to Haskett.
Well, and so that's what I was referring to earlier, that you will have some cramps and maybe a pulled muscle or a strain or something because you're not warm. And if you look out there, you can see the officials are trying to stay warm and loose by stretching. They also don't want to catch an injury.
Not sure who the player for the Raiders is that is down. I'm told that it is
number 24.
The 24, that would be William Yarborough, who has been very instrumental in the defense for the Raiders tonight. he would be my choice for the player of the game for Warwick because of his fine efforts on defense.
So I will echo that because I believe he has been the saving grace on a couple of possible touchdown runs.
Stopped Beckner once and Turner another time. This is Beckner. He pitches it. A nice play to Giles, and Giles, did he go out of bounds? Yes, at the 41-yard line, but not before he picks up a first down for the Phantoms.
What a tough run by Kevin Giles. It looked like he was going to be stopped well upfield, but he was not going to be denied. He put his head down and watched this nice run and a nice read by Kevin Beckner. He pitches the ball at the last second. Outruns the man there and just says, I'm going to give me some extra yard, and takes on the tackler for about 5 yards.
They mark it at the Warwick 40, first and 10. Beckner still has the football, and Beckner gets good yardage before going out of bounds around the 30-yard line.
And is there a flag down? Play after he was out of bounds. I'm not sure exactly what the call was. Maybe a face mask.
Yes, it is.
What the call is.
Whoa, what a big call that is with 3:49 to go. And now we've got another Raider down as they are falling after almost every play.
Watch the replay. Kevin Beckner does a great job of using his blockers, and he's going down, and he's right there. They've got the face mask, and he's already out of bounds.
And that was a clear case of face mask.
No doubt about that.
Well, I'm happy to see that the Warwick Raider who was down and hurt is up and all right. But the Raiders now with a more important task at hand. The ball is at their 16-yard line with 3:49 remaining.
And I think they want a timeout. Yes, exactly what's happening is Warwick wants to talk about it. Phoebus has really got the two great running plays, one by Beckner, the other by Kevin Giles, and getting some super blocking from Maurice Turner and the left side of that line. You can see the fans. Just watch them.
If it looks cold to you at home, that's because it is. But a good crowd on hand. I'll give these people credit for coming out on a very chilly, windy night. They've seen a good football game. These two teams have fought a hard-fought game, and neither team deserves to lose this game. They played well. Now the Raiders with the ball at their 16-yard line. Timeout is over with. Bill D has returned to the sidelines, as has the Warwick Raiders coaches. Beckner keeps, and he's inside the 10-yard line.
Kevin Beckner has said, I'm going to get this ball in the end zone, or we're going to get a field goal or something. We're not going to lose this ball game. He is really putting his head down and going. And of course, that'll fire up the rest of his team, but watch the fake to the fullback, and then the keep, split the two defenders and getting a great block by Kevin Turner.
Maurice Turner. 9-yard line is where they've marked it. 2nd down and 3. Beckner flips. This is Giles, and Giles goes out of bounds at the 6-yard line. It'll be close to a first down. 3:02 remaining in the 4th quarter.
Well, we have not called Kevin Giles' name very much running the ball. He does such a good job on defense and such a great job blocking on offense, but he has taken the ball and has decided he's going to be a runner tonight, and we got it's a first down. I'm sorry.
First and goal.
I was watching the marker over there. First and goal.
Ball about the 6-yard line. 3:02 remaining. Beckner stumbles as he is taken to the ground. He was tripped up as he was going along the line of scrimmage and was unable to toss the ball back. And he's sacked for a 1-yard loss. Ball now will be marked at the 7. Clock moves with 2:40 remaining. Phantoms have 2 timeouts remaining, Warwick with 1. Phoebus not in any great hurry at this point. They have John Jensen, who can kick a field goal from this range. This is more or less an extra point range. But of course the Phantoms want the touchdown. Beckner! No indication. Yes, now there is.
There was a late call by the official. Kevin Beckner did a great job of following the blockers around the right side and dove into the end zone for a score with 2:16 to go. And Phoebus takes the lead. Listen to this crowd.
This is the first time in the ballgame that Phoebus has led. Jensen will be on to try the extra point. His kick is no good. It's wide to the left. So that keeps the options open for the Raiders. A 3-point difference. 6 plays, 59 yards, 2 minutes and 24 seconds. Here's your replay. Kevin Beckner gets my vote for player of the game with his second touchdown. Here you see the young man. He's looking ahead. He sees Arne Bontemps, who's such a strong candidate as well. Beckner goes down, and oh, did he just narrowly get that ball in. I tell you, that's a tough call right there. The officials right on top of the play. They looked it over carefully before they signaled touchdown, and then once they had, they did in fact give a touchdown to Kevin Beckner and the Phoebus Phantoms.
It's going to be tough to pick the player of the game. I'm still going to go with Bontemps because I think he's done such a great job defensively and made some real big plays out there tonight. You want to go with Beckner, we'll let somebody else make the deciding call on that. I'm going to go down to the sideline and freeze.
We may have to call upon our producer, Dr. Stills, or our director, Scotty Bowers, to break the tie, but I got to go with Beckner. His general leadership on the field has been superb. Take nothing away from Bontemps. He was certainly a very strong candidate as well. So we'll ask our director to break the tie. Don't forget now, as the Phantoms kick off to the Raiders, they will have the wind at their back. This is Jernigan. Tremaine Jernigan trying to find some room. He's got some outside room. He may go all the way. He does. Tremaine Jernigan returns the kickoff for a touchdown.
There's no flags on the play.
Just 2 minutes remaining. Tremaine Jernigan has taken the kickoff after the Phoebus touchdown, but there is a penalty flag down.
Well, the penalty flag, Tim, came after the touchdown. Well, it looks like to me that it's going to be assessed on extra point. Very well that the Phoebus Phantoms just had a letdown on that after scoring their touchdown, but there's still 2 minutes to go in this ball game. This is not over yet.
Unsportsmanlike conduct is the call against the Raiders, but it comes, as you said, after the touchdown. And of course, it makes the extra point try a very difficult one. And if he misses it, if Perry cannot connect, and it will be a 35-yard extra point. If he misses it, the score remains a 3-point difference, and he does in fact miss it, as it is a low kick into his blockers. So the Phantoms, once again, have just 2 minutes remaining. They drove 59 yards in 2:20. Here's your kickoff return. Jernigan is going to field the ball at the 13-yard line. He should have been stopped there, and he faked out his tackle. He has done a fine job, Jernigan has, all night. And he got some great blocks on his way to the end zone. So a stunned Phoebus side of the field after the Phantoms had gone ahead for the first time in the ball game. On the ensuing kickoff, Tremaine Jernigan returns the kickoff 87 yards for the touchdown.
Well, Tim, we had talked earlier in the game about a must-win for the Raiders, and they have really put the pressure on the Phantoms now. With a 3-point lead, Phoebus can still tie the ball game if they get down close enough to make a field goal. So this is an important run back right now for the Phantoms.
Harry kicks a squibber. It's fielded at the 35-yard line. Trying to get outside. Phoebus would like to return the favor. And finally knocked out of bounds. Taking out a cameraman, not one of ours, but at least the cameraman he is decked. And return all the way back to the Warwick 32-yard line, so don't go anywhere.
Well, this game isn't over yet, Tim.
So they're going to say that in fact, the return will be marked at the 42 because Rodney Reese stepped out of bounds at the 42-yard line. So he did not get to the 32 as indicated initially. He tried to tightrope along the sidelines, but he stepped out at the 42-yard line. 149, here's your replay. There you see him finally going out of bounds, but he had already stepped out of bounds, and he took a cameraman out with him. This is Beckner. And Beckner crosses the 40 to the 39-yard line. 2 timeouts remaining for the Phantoms.
Bill D is down here on the sideline telling his team, let's hurry up. Don't even huddle. With a minute 30 to go, they've got to get the plays off and get this ball down at least in field goal territory.
And Beckner pitches it back. And the Phantoms fumble the football. It looks like Beckner may have recovered. And they will probably have to call a timeout here with just a minute 14 remaining. They do call a time. So the Phantoms go the other way, and the ball is all the way out to the 44-yard line with just 1:13 remaining. Here's your replay. Beckner is tackled as he is tackled. He flips the ball back. Turner had the ball, and it's wrestled away from him, and then Beckner very alertly falls on the fumble. So Bill D will have just 1 timeout remaining after this one.
More importantly, Tim, he's got 2 downs to go 12 yards, and he's got to do something. His passing game is not noted at this point, but he's also got Tom Bailey in there, who is a quarterback and has thrown a quarter and a half back option. He is a good passer, so we may see that. Tim, want to come on down here?
Sure. That's where all the action is.
I tell you, it's will definitely wake you up.
I'm not asleep, Bob. This has been a good ball game, and as I said before, and it is even more evident now than before, it's a shame one of these teams has to lose. This has been a real good ball game for both sides of the field. 3rd down and 12 for the Phantoms. Thomas Bailey is in at quarterback. His pass is to Rodney Reese, and he will be short of the first down. And now the last timeout will be called by the Phantoms with 1 minute and 1 second remaining. The ball will be positioned in a 4th down and about 1.5 yards, maybe 2 yards. 4th and 2.
Well, he's bringing Beckner back in at quarterback. They got to get the first down, which will stop the clock. But you're right, there is no more first downs. They've got to get the ball down about the 20-yard line. I figure they must get at least 10 or 15 yards so they can get in field goal range with this win.
Kevin Beckner will not get the first down, and the Raider defense is held.
Tim, while we got a second here, they changed the possession of the ball. I'm still going with Bontemps for the player of the game. You will with Beckner. Check with our director and producer.
All right, Mr. Director, who is your pick? Who are you going to who are you going to break the tie? Beckner is the quarterback. Bontemps was the defensive end. Beckner, I'm told, is the choice by both our producer and our director. So Kevin Beckner will end up with our Player of the Game award for the Phoebus Phantoms. And congratulations to him on a superb effort. It will be a bitter pill to swallow now since his go-ahead touchdown was wiped out by the ensuing kickoff return. The Phantoms cannot stop the clock. There are just 30 seconds remaining and they are out of timeouts. And now the Raiders will take the penalty for delay of game, but it's inconsequential as they will take the 5-yard penalty. And then they'll simply snap the ball ultimately, and unless they fumble it, the ball game will be over. Tough break for Bill D and his squad. They've played well. They fought so hard to come back after going behind 10-7. And only to see Tremaine Jernigan electrify the crowd with an 87-yard touchdown return of the kickoff. And the clock continues to move with just 15 seconds remaining. The Warwick Raiders will have defeated the previously undefeated Phoebus Phantoms. That's your ball game. They don't even have to snap the ball. So a tough loss for Bill D as his win string of 7 comes to an end. And the Warwick Raiders improved their record to 6-2 and 5-2 in the district. And boy, do we have a log jam at the top of the standings now with this defeat by Phoebus, because assuming that Hampton wins, as they will be playing a outmatched Menchville team, they will in turn match the record of the Phoebus high school team. Kickingham and Warwick, if I'm not wrong, will be in second place. But a very well played ball game on both parts, and Warwick played a superb game, as did Phoebus. And Jernigan is being hoisted to his teammates' shoulders, as well he should, for that 87-yard winning touchdown return to make the final score 13 for Phoebus and 16 for the Warwick Raiders. And Bob, I know you have an unenviable task. You may be headed over. Is Jill Lyons nearby you there, or did you? Who are you headed for, Bob? I see Bob has someone to talk with, and we'll get over to him as quickly as we can. Sammy Jr., you see him there? There he is. Okay, Bob, take it away.
Hey, Tim, I've got Jackie Diggs, the principal of Warwick High School, and he looks a little happy right now. Jackie, I know you got to be thrilled with that win.
I'm extremely excited. We've had a tough couple in the second half of the season, and this game has just really topped everything off. We're really now to get ready to the playoffs.
Well, I know you got to be happy. That was a great defensive job that they did against this fine Phoebus team tonight.
Well, our defensive team has really kept us in most of the games, and the offense has sputtered a little bit the last several weeks. And today, both teams came together. We're real proud of Warwick High School.
Well, I want to congratulate you. Also, we want to hope that Mario Haskett doesn't have a serious injury.
I think he's all right. One of the principals went with him to the hospital to check to make sure things are all right. But we feel he's all right.
Well, good enough. Tell Bill we congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, Jackie. Back up to you, Tim.
All right, Bob, thank you. And our congratulations to the Warwick Raiders on a very fine victory tonight. A very hard-fought victory. And there was several heroes on their side of the field. Certainly Jernigan had to be one of them. Mario Haskett has done a fine job at quarterback helm. And Yarborough, number 24 on defense, was very instrumental in stopping some key plays when the Phantoms were threatening, and he came up big on the stop, and that's Chris Yarborough from the Warwick Raiders. I believe you got Bill Lyons with you there, Bob.
Yeah, Tim, I got the winning coach, Bill Lyons, there, and I just got done talking to Jackie Diggs, and he was beside himself. Congratulations.
Thank you. I'm happy for the kids. We just after we lost to Hampton, it was just like we were out, and then we got upset last week. Team played a good ball game, and our backs were on the wall, and we knew we were going to get in the playoffs. It had to be that. And Coach Ruffin and Coach Wright are defensive people. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better job than what they prepared for us this week.
Well, that's what I was telling Jackie. I thought your defense just did a great job.
Well, we just said, if you're going to pass and beat us, you're going to pass and beat us. And we're going to start. We're going to put 9 men up in there, and we're going to lay the leather. And if you can handle it, you can handle it. If you can't, you can't. And our kids came to play tonight, and that's just the name of it.
You're the first team that's held this good Phoebus team to the yardage that they've got. They have not been held to this number of yards. I don't have the numbers.
Well, again, it goes back to Coach Ruffin and a thing that they used with Thad Madden, called the backbone defense. Okay, it was created back in the early 70s when the wishbone was running rampant through the country, and he remembered it, and I had a book on it, and we studied and we went after it, and that's what we played. And that just that's one of the best things I think you can do against the wishbone, when they outpower you the way the Phoebus has been doing people, and we had nothing to lose.
Well, you got a chance to get in the playoffs now.
Big
Congratulations,
chance. Thanks, Bob.
And we're going to see you next week
Yes,
against
sir.
another
big game.
Okay, good enough. See you next week. Tim, let's go back up to you.
All right, thank you. And the statistics bear out the fact that in the end, the Raiders actually were outgained on the rushing category. They had 131 yards on 34 carries, while the Phantoms rushed 43 times for 190 yards. But Mario Haskett had a pretty good ball game, 10 out of 22 for 100 yards. And the other side of the coin was Beckner was 0 for 9 and Bailey 1 for 1 on 11 yards. So they were 1 out of 10. The Phantoms were passing the ball. They just don't throw the ball. And like Bill Lyons said, if he had to, he was going to put 9 men on the line. If they could rush against him and win, then they could do it. But he wasn't going to let them beat him any other way. The Raiders with 13 first downs, the Phantoms with 10, and the statistics all the way down the board generally in favor of the Phantoms in the rushing category, but the passing was the difference as Mario Haskett. And the real difference was the 87-yard touchdown return by Tremaine Jernigan after the Phantoms had regained their, actually should say they got the lead for the first time, only to see the touchdown return wipe that out and the ultimate 3-point victory for the Warwick Raiders. Well, that's going to do it for us here at Darling Stadium. The final score again, the Warwick Raiders snap the unbeaten skein of the Phoebus Phantoms. They win 16-13. For Bob Hintz, this is Tim Cole. Thanks for watching. Hope you'll join us next time. Good night, everybody.
Hi, I'm Karen Schaffner, your announcer for this evening's halftime activities. The featured band will be the marching Phoebus Phantoms. The band is under the direction of Al Morris. Drum majors for the Phantoms are Kanissa Holder and Dale Richardson. The band will perform It's All Over Now by the Dirty Dozen Brass Band, a dance routine medley with the assistance of the cheerleaders including Hold On, 45 King, and To Be Real, followed by the PHS formation. The Phantoms would like to honor all seniors in the band, ROTC, and cheerleading squad. They will perform the alma mater, I'm So Glad I Go to PHS, the Kilowatt dance routine, then conclude with the Phoebus fight song. Enjoy.
School cheerleaders as we perform a dance routine to several of the big hit songs of the year, including Hold On, 45 King, and To Be Real. At this time, we honor the senior class of Phoebus High School, the class of 1991. Our seniors, in alphabetical order, are band members: Pablo Alcaraz, Albert Allen, Michelle Armstrong, Heather Bosley, Tammy Freeman, Shane Henneman, Darren Holmes, Mark Jackson, Monique Nolan, Marcel McCrae, Kristen Parker, Terrence Bender, Raquel Schaefer, and Cecilia Short. Our senior flag corps member is Danielle Maxwell. Our senior cheerleaders are Kim Blunt, Alicia Jackson, Kanika Rainey, and Ahanda Thomason. And our senior JROTC member is Stephen May. Let's have a big phantom round of applause for all of our senior class of 1991. And now, please rise and honor Phoebus High School with the Phoebus High School honor. I'm so glad I go to Phoebus High.
I'm Karen Schaffner. Good night. I'm Karen Schaffner. Good night.